Hello, pod lovers. Welcome to part 2 of the end of the season pod. Our countdown to number 1 spot continues with Arsenal. But before we get into the meat of our chinwag, let me introduce the housewife's favourite, Ed025, and the man who never forgets a meal, Ed001. How are we, gents?
I'm good, thank you.
I think you've got me mixed up with someone. I never miss a meal, but I always forget what I've eaten afterwards and on another one.
Right, guys. You been okay?
Yeah, very good.
Good. All right. Without further ado, we got lots to get through. Let's get on with part 2 of the end of season podcast. Dun, dun, dun. Right. Let's begin with Arsenal, the FA Cup winners.
Yeah.
Had a good season for me.
Did they?
I think they've done really well, yeah.
Well, finishing eighth.
Victor Meldrew. Look at Victor Meldrew up there. They win a cup, and he's like, yeah.
Yeah, but they're eighth.
I know, but they've been in transition. I mean, let's be fair. Arteta has done really well since he moved in.
What position were they in when he took over?
I'm not sure what position were they.
Wasn't it eighth?
Yeah,
They
but
won a trophy.
Yeah, but so what? Nobody else cares. You know what I mean? It's like the FA Cup's just a non-entity these days, isn't it? This is the same thing. This is exactly what Arsene Wenger used to say every season. It didn't matter that we got worse than the previous season. We won the FA Cup. Yeah, but nobody else cared. So, everyone was playing kids for most of the rounds.
You have to change your name to Victor Meldrew by deed poll. It just has to happen.
Just saying, that is not a good season for a club like Arsenal that think they're going to be, challenging for for the actual title.
I actually think he's got a new manager on board and he's got to adjust, make his own signings, and I think he's done very well up to now.
But he won't make his own signings because Kia Jarabchian will make the signings.
Well, you're saying that, but he'll tell him who he wants, and he's got to put him out on the pitch.
One minute, guys. Let's rewind a little bit, right? I understand where you're coming from. Let me just rewind a little bit, lads. I understand where you're coming from, Tristan. Arsenal are a massive club historically, but as Billy says, they're in transition. They have an owner that is not prepared to put money into the club.
No, I get that. What I'm saying is, you can't say that is a successful season for a club the size of Arsenal, no matter what the excuses are. At the end of the day, success for a club the size of Arsenal is the league title. Or a European
title. Not everyone can win the league title.
No, but not everyone can but not everyone has a successful season.
But I think winning the FA Cup is a successful season for Arsenal the way they are at the moment.
Tristan, this is all relative. You can't have. Okay, this isn't Arsenal of 15, 20 years ago with Wenger. This is Arsenal under Arteta.
The Wenger at the end, where they still can't defend. They've done nothing to fix their problems. They're exactly the same team under Arteta as they were under Emery and under Wenger. I just don't see what's improved.
They've won the FA Cup. That's what's improved.
But they were winning it under Wenger.
I appreciate that, but again, you're not taking into consideration what I'm saying. They're a club under transition, and they're a club.
I just don't see that that's just an excuse.
What they're supposed to do? To win the league?
No, but my point is, you can't call it a successful season.
But they've won a trophy. That's a semi-successful season.
Semi-successful is totally different from saying successful.
But
it's not a bad season. But it's not a good season, is it? Let's be honest. They finished.
How do you measure success? How do you quantify success? So you're telling me, right? Arsenal at the start of the season, they'd have said, if we win the FA Cup, that's not a bad season. It's okay.
Yeah, but they've got to come higher than 8th before you start saying it's a good season.
But they've got a new
manager on board, coach, whatever you want to call him. I think they've got him on board. He's got to change things around. He's got to form his own team. And I think he's done quite well. Very well, in fact.
I agree.
Why? What
I
have they?
agree.
What has he changed over what was there before? What's different about them? The only thing that's different is what they still can't defend. They still give up hundreds of chances in a match, and they're relying on luck, just like they were under Emery.
But the thing is, there's a new manager at the helm now. He needs time to adopt and implement his tactic.
To create a more solid defence does not take this much time. It's a couple of weeks of training. Just ask Roy Hodgson; he can do that.
But
I think you're being unfair on him, to be honest with you, Tris. He's done all right. He's done very well, I think. For a new manager, same as Lampard, thrown in a bit at the deep end. He wasn't a manager. He was an assistant manager.
Still not a manager,
and he's trying to...
coach.
He's a coach.
And now he's a head coach. There's no real difference.
Yeah, no, it's a big jump up. It's a big jump up for me. And I think he's done well.
I think he's been harsh on him, mate,
I'm not
to be
convinced.
honest.
I still watch them, and they just look exactly the same as they did under Emery, relying on luck to win games.
How long has he been in the job?
About 8 months, I think. About 8 months, I'd say.
22nd of December 2019, he was appointed. So yeah.
So he's and 3 months of that, was off with COVID, right? So he's been what? So January, February, March,
season, basically.
So not even that. He's not even half a season. I don't think
half a season. December, it's about halfway.
Just barely.
And
okay, so
picked up the second biggest domestic trophy. So that's a sure success for me.
Nah.
I agree. I mean, all right, let's
take the team up the table to be a success, and he didn't. He's done nothing to improve their league position's terrible.
I think he needs more time.
We have plenty of time to improve that.
What I do feel that
they were above Spurs, who were awful when he took over, and yet Spurs finished above them.
What I do feel he lacks in is authority. I think he's a bit too pally with those guys, because what's his name? Guendouzi wouldn't do what he does if he had a stronger manager.
Well, he's going anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I think he's out the door anyway, Guendouzi, isn't he?
Yeah. So let's talk about their financial issues, because from what we can gather from Ed002, there's some serious issues there fiscally, and apparently Kuya Jorobachan is calling the shots. Sorry?
Is that how you pronounce it? Have I been pronouncing
it wrong?
Jorobachan. Ah, right. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Every day's a school day, buddy.
Hey, I'm learning something. I never thought I'd learn something from you. Well, nothing I can say in public, anyway.
What was I going to say to you, mate? Yes, so apparently he's very good friends with Edu, and they go back years. So something's cooking there, eh?
I think wasn't he one of Edu's third-party owners at one point?
Not sure, but they
moved over to Europe. I'm pretty sure he was, but I might be wrong.
Right, okay, but yeah, that because Wenger would not deal with super agents, would never give older paid players big contracts. So this is complete contrast to what Wenger would do. And
they give $5 million on David Luiz
for the extension, correct?
No, for the entirety of the 2-year contract. Now it was 24 million. It was a 1-year extension, was costing 1 million.
And surprise, surprise, David Luiz is a Kia player, right?
Yep. It was Kia that negotiated the contract, the deal.
I can imagine that negotiation.
Oh, gee. It's just...
Edu, do you want to sign him for another year? Yeah, let's do it.
But to Arsenal, at the end of the day, they'd spunked out 24 million on him for 1 year, with a second year for 20 years. Now, you may as well take the extra year for $1 million, mightn't you? And at least it makes it look a bit less dodgy on the accounts, doesn't it?
It makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so it doesn't look, well, it still looks pretty bad, to be honest with you. 12 and a half, 13 million a year for Luiz. But, yeah, so I mean, what's going on down there? I mean, is it really, is it as bad as it looks?
Well, they spent money ahead last year, didn't they? In the summer, they spent money. They borrowed ahead to spend the money they spent last summer, which obviously, with the COVID situation, has really put pressure on their finances.
Yeah.
And are they going for Coutinho? Is that correct?
There was interest. Oh God, hiccups now. Sorry. Yeah, there was interest, but I don't know whether that'll happen.
They've got to get players off the books. I think they've got to get players off the books. The likes of Ozil has got to go off the books.
Can't see that happening. He'll stay. He'll sit on the money. Why should he go? They've treated him appallingly.
I don't know how much of it's down to him though as well. I know he's been treated appallingly.
He was playing really well, and they just dumped him on the sidelines.
We don't get to know the ins and outs, do we, of what's happened with him? Because he's always looked sulky to me ever since he got dropped.
Yeah, but even before then, everyone complained he looked sulky. And, I'd be watching matches and he'd chase back to the right-back position to win a tackle, win the ball, ran back another 40 yards with the, playing a 1-2. And the commentator would give the credit to another player and say, "Oh God, look at him! He's just stood there in the halfway line. He's just run 100-odd yards up and back and down. You know what I mean? To chase back and win a tackle and run back up. And then he's stopped for a breather, and the commentators complained about him being lazy because he's just stood there. And I'm thinking, I
read a stat that he does a minimum of. I read a stat that he does a minimum of 10k a game. He runs 10k.
He was covering the most distance of the Arsenal team every game. His was the highest distance covered, and yet people were calling him lazy. I don't understand it. I don't see what he does.
People who are looking at the game, not these commentators who are looking for something to say. I think Arsenal fans and people who look at the game know what he does, and he does what he does well. It's just that when he's not playing, and everyone's wondering why he's not playing, because he is a talented footballer, but I don't know whether he fits at Arsenal anymore. I think he wants out.
Well, not under Billy. No, he doesn't want out because he wants to keep his money.
Yeah, it's political. They want him out because they don't want to pay him up. They want to give him $350 a week, and he doesn't want to leave, obviously. So there's an impasse there. So they're going to have to pay him up. They're going to have to pay him up.
This is a situation that should have been better. You're going to say I'm just criticising Arteta, but he should have managed this situation better. If you've got players of that quality, you have to find a way to use them on that kind of wages. At a club, you just can't afford to have them sat watching in the stands.
No, you can't, no.
Not when you've got... Another one, while we're on the subject of the misusing players, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, he's still being used as a right-back. The lad's a midfielder. He's clearly not a full-back. He's an awful full-back, but he's a very good midfielder. Why is he not getting a shot in midfield by now? They've got cover at right-back. They don't need him there, but they still use him there. Clearly, Arteta doesn't fancy him, so wants rid of him. He's another one that will be on his way.
He may be, yeah. But we can't decide what Arteta does. Arteta's got his plan, obviously, of what he wants in the side. And Niles just doesn't fit that.
So, what do you think will happen with those all guys? Do you think they'll pay him up, or do you think they'll subsidise his wages and ship him out? That'd be the cheapest option, to subsidise his wages.
I don't think he'll go anywhere. I think he'll stay and sit out the season.
Yeah, but who's going to give Ozil 200, 250 a week? No one.
No, exactly. So just sit out the season. They've messed it up.
Yeah, and they made their bed. And they're going to have to lie in it now.
They've got another problem in goalkeeper as well, haven't they? They've got to sort out. Because Martinez I didn't realise Martinez was 27.
Yeah, he's done well though since he come in.
Yeah, exactly. But he's
done really well.
At the age he is, he's not going to want to go back on the bench, is he?
Well, he's already said, you make me number one or I'm off.
Yeah, exactly. So one of them's got to go, him or Leno.
I think Leno will go.
Who's the better keeper?
I'd say Martinez.
It's a bit hard to tell because he only had a few. You only saw Martinez for a few games.
But he looked really confident and he made a difference.
But I
Leno
like Leno.
makes too many mistakes for me.
I think Leno's a good keeper, and he's better with the ball at his feet, which, you know, supposedly Arteta wants, so...
I like a
They've
keeper
got a
to make
problem there.
mistakes.
Personally, I
They've
agree
got-
with you, Bill, but I'm saying what they're saying, you know, what the
Yeah,
manager's looking at, rather than what I'm looking at. I'd rather have the more solid keeper first, and then worry
Yeah.
about whether he's good with his feet.
Yeah,
Well, this
and
is
try and improve him with his feet.
Yeah.
Well, this is the club you can bank your mortgage on making the wrong decisions, like
Yeah,
paying
that's-
72 million for Pepe, and then they got Saka coming up. I mean, it's insane.
Well, it's not
Yeah.
just Saka. I mean, they got quite a few players who can play. Well.
Martinelli.
Yeah, and Reece Nelson.
It's-
Aubameyang's
it-
even being used as a winger.
Well, has he agreed a new deal, or
No, not yet.
is it offered? I mean, they're going to have another Ozil situation at 31. I think he's 31 or 32,
Yeah,
isn't he? Aubameyang?
31, just
They-
turned 31.
What, they're going to give him 250 a week for 5 years? They've got exactly the same situation, but they won't learn.
And Danny Sabala, I mean, they haven't even got him yet. Because he was only on loan, wasn't he? He's gone back, so they haven't even sorted him out yet. Whether they
No.
Well,
keep...
apparently, Zidane wants him back at Madrid.
Yeah.
You see, going back to Arteta, you don't know if his hands are tied, you know, because he obviously wants players. He needs to improve the defence. I think we all,
Well, the
all
defence
agree
will
on
be
that.
improved because they got Saliba.
William Saliba, yeah, he's coming in.
For
He's
God's
really
sake.
good.
What's going on here? You're not supposed to know these things.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is they've got some good players, but they've also got some crap, and they've got some real
Yeah,
people on some
Mustafi.
really high wages on long contracts. It's not as bad as Everton, but it's pretty bad.
Yeah, but they've got the Scottish. They got that Scottish legend Kieran Tierney that all the Celtic fans think is the greatest player ever to play football. Apparently, he's better than Andrew Robertson. They all reckon. Not sure how.
But there's a lot of interest in him, even though he's only been there a few months.
Yeah, I don't understand. He spent most of the time injured. If it
Yeah,
hadn't been
yeah.
if it hadn't been that we had that big long break for the COVID, he'd have barely played, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
He's
but didn't he
been out
come
injured
injured?
before
And he hasn't been injured since he's got here, though. He came
Yeah,
injured.
pretty much. No, he was fit. He passed the
He
medical.
never
fit.
played much early on.
No,
Yeah,
but he didn't
picked
play
up
for
an
a couple of
injury in
months. when he came.
pre-season, didn't he?
Yeah.
No, he was injured at Celtic. He was injured at Celtic,
He was
and he
fit.
came. He
He
passed.
was fit. He played in I'm sure he played in pre-season friendly, at least one. Sure of it. I'll have to check.
I'm not googling that. That's too much hassle.
No, but I've got the.
Um,
I can look at it. But anyway, like I just don't understand. He's got so many problems with fitness. He's had so many injuries.
Yeah. Well, it's safe to say you can't rely on him to be fit all season. 30, 35, 40 games a season. So that's for sure. But there's some real issues down there at Arsenal. That's for sure.
Yeah, they need to sort things out.
All right. Should we move on to Wolves?
Yeah, could
Yeah.
do.
All right, guys. I think everybody's second team. Well, they are mine anyway. There's nothing not to like about these guys.
I think you'll find a few Birmingham and Aston Villa fans
well,
and
yeah, I was
West Brom
gonna-
fans who
I
disagree
was
with that.
gonna, I was gonna put that in the context. Yeah, but
Yeah.
where the other the Midlands clubs, yeah, of course, barring those. But Nino's done a stellar job there, and he's done an excellent job. I mean, I always thought he'd be a good one for you, Billy.
Yeah.
Everton.
I don't think he'd come to Everton. I don't think he's enough.
Oh,
Everton.
no, of course, yeah, but yeah.
The only criticism I could make of him is he's a bit too defensive minded, a bit too negative for my liking at times.
Yeah,
Like-
true. That's a good point because he has got the players, offensive players as well, hasn't he, to not be so defensive.
Yeah, that's the one thing that you could criticise him for, I think.
But they've had such an hard season, haven't they?
I'm just
They've had a very long season, and he's had to make changes to cope with that, and I think he's done a sterling job. I really do.
I agree
Yeah.
with you. I'm not arguing. I'm just saying if there's a critic, you've got to. I'm trying to give a balanced viewpoint. You see, because you've got to give a pro as well as a con, haven't you? I mean,
Yeah,
YouTube.
of course.
Hmm?
You have, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean the other thing is they need to get a proper left back. I like Johnny, but he can't use his left foot.
He's a good player. He's a good player, but he's not 2-footed. That's for sure.
Yeah, he needs a left foot. You know, they need that balance on the left.
Mm.
I think
They
Players up in forward positions, though, haven't they?
well, they've got Jimenez, they got Traore, they got Doherty, Matinho,
Jota. Podence is the one I like the look of, and Neto or the one.
Neto.
Yeah.
But their first 11 is smashing. But when like most other clubs, when you get down to their bench, it's lacking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking through that. I was trying to think, who else would. I mean, if they have injury problems, they haven't really got anyone to step up, have they?
No, they haven't got a great squad.
The young kid, he doesn't get any games from him anymore. You know, he's the 17, 18-year-old, the forward.
What about Morgan Gibbs-White, who's now 20?
That's the one. I thought he was pretty nifty.
No, he's lost his way completely. He started off, he was like a great bit of a, he's disappeared up his own backside.
Seriously? Was that attitude, or is that just, he's just not good enough?
Well, I think it's attitude has meant he's not made the progress he should have.
Oh, when he was coming on for subs appearances, and he was looking really, really good. I had high hopes for him.
Yeah, he's not made any progress though. I mean,
no.
Player at all now. It's a shame.
So I really wanted them to get fourth spot. I think that would have been fully deserved. I mean, they're knocking on the door of top four for sure. And I remember you saying, Tristan, a while back, that they've got some wealthy owners that want to take him to elevate. Sorry.
Fosun. Fosun.
Right. Are they Chinese?
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. So they've got some lofty dreams for these guys.
But it could be an issue because of the problems with China at the moment. All the trade problems that could end up causing them a problem.
Mm.
In what sense? Because they can't bring their money over?
Well, they might not be able to invest, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, the Chinese government's already made, cut back the Chinese investment in foreign clubs. Oh.
Yeah.
But as a team, you can't help but admire them, can you? The long season they've had and how well they've done. And to finish where they did in the Premiership, and to finish where they did, I think hats off to them,
Yeah, I agree.
That's what worries me for next season with them is they've had a late finish to this season. They're only going to have a short break, and they've only got a small squad.
Yeah.
They could tire again.
Yeah, but they could freshen it up in the next week or 2 weeks. They could, depending on who they buy. I don't think they're going to lose many, to be honest. I hope they keep the core of their team because it is a fabulous team. I love Jimenez. I think he's special.
Quality player.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. I was gutted when he was linked with Man United. I'm hoping that's not going to come to fruition.
He's not going to take a backward step, is he?
Yeah, I was just thinking, why would he do it? I mean, not being funny, but they don't really need him either, do they?
No.
If I were them, and this is going to sound really dumb in some way, but I would sell Traore to the highest bidder and buy it.
Scored 4 goals. I don't understand the hype about him. He's not worth the money being pandered about.
If they can get 80, 90 million for him, I'd take it and then just buy 4 or 5 players with that and try and keep the nucleus of your side.
I don't think you'd get 90 million for a player like Traore.
Probably not, mate.
I mean, he never really did. I mean, you watch them when he starts. He just doesn't seem to do anything. He just seems to fade, doesn't he, during the game?
He's in and out, isn't he? Yeah. he can be brilliant at times, and he's so quick. He's not
Yeah.
involved in the game enough to be counted as a top
And when he
quality.
does get on the ball, he tends 9 times out of 10, you know he's just going to end up losing the ball,
Yeah, yeah.
making the wrong decision. So
He's a game
he's got
changer.
so much
I'll give him
ability.
that. Yeah, he is a game changer, but he has to do a bit more to be lined up as a £90 million player.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. So what do you think about Wolves then? They're going to be hot or not next season?
I think it's going to be a lot harder for them after the season they've had. But I wish them well, I really do.
They're not
because I
in
think-
Europe, though, are they, next season? Are they?
No, I don't think they are.
So
But
I think might help. That'll help.
Yeah, it will help them. But
Yeah, but
I
they've
don't
got
know
to
whether I've done too much this season, and they will be tired, especially if the season starts up again pretty soon, and they haven't had much time off.
It's next
And
month,
the
isn't it?
Yeah.
This September, yeah. The key to their success is going to be keeping the side together,
Yeah.
because if they get cherry picked, I doubt they will, because they've got plenty of money, and of the COVID situation, I don't think they got. Obviously, people haven't got much money to spend, so I don't think they'll get cherry picked. But they've got to keep their side together.
Not being funny, but who would their team, if you had money, let's be honest, if you had money's no object, there's not many of their team you're going to come in for because they're not at the right age for a move, if you see what I mean. There's very few. Maybe Jota,
Neon,
Podence.
Martinho's good.
Moutinho's 33.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh my
That's what I mean.
God, I
There's
didn't
not
realise
many that
that.
are going to come in. You're not going to really
Yeah.
come in because there's not many of an age. Well, you
Gotcha.
look
And
at
Jimenez ain't a spring
29,
chicken either.
isn't he?
29, yeah.
29. So yeah,
And,
that's what I mean. There's not really. There's only a few. There's Jota, Podence, Neto,
Good point.
Traore.
Yeah, good point.
The ones that that someone might come in and think it's worth paying big for. 'Cause other than that, you're starting to look at. I mean, people like Bolly and that at the back who are. I mean, they're 29, 30, size.
Yeah.
I like Sice.
Do you?
That Bolly, he's an interesting character. When he was out, they lost and drew a lot of games. As soon as he came back in. I think they went on their bad run. I think it was post-COVID, or was it pre-COVID? They went on a bad run, and I think that coincided with Bolly not being in the team.
He's a good defender. He can be a bit rash, but
he's a defender's defender. Yeah,
he's a defender rather than a player.
Yeah.
Really.
like exactly. Yeah, I get that.
Makes
All right,
it-
guys. Should we go on to Spurs?
Yeah.
Let's go on to Spurs.
They have seriously regressed as their personality as a team under
But they
Jose.
beat Everton to Højbjerg now, so it's all changed. Next season, when you're beating Everton to their targets, you know you're doing well, don't you?
You know your star is shining then, don't you?
Oh yeah, because you see how well they buy recently.
But what's going on? They have a fabulous infrastructure with the training facility. It's apparently the best training facility on the planet, and the stadium. Yet they can't transfer that onto the pitch.
They've got too many average midfield players for me.
Yeah, I mean, we were saying this before while we were talking earlier, weren't we? About when you've got players like Harry Winks and Musa Sissoko as starting regularly, you're just not going to be a good side, are you?
No, two poor players. Oh my God.
Oh,
Yeah, but that's just-
So who said that? Oh my God.
It was my wife.
She was that excited by the Spurs talk.
Is that what you said about Harry Musa? Is she a Musa Sissoko fan or a Harry Winks fan?
I'm a Mourinho fan too.
Oh, right.
Well, yeah, I can see the similarity with you, eh? You've both got grey hair.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's about
And
it,
we're both
right?
special. We're both special ones as well.
I don't know. As I said, I mean, Sissoko and Winks, they both got heralded by the last two managements. managers at Spurs.
Yeah.
Poch
Says
liked
it
him as
all,
well. So
really.
it's got to be, exactly. So there's a theme there, right?
The thing you've got to say is that the one thing they did do well, one thing that was impressive was that Tanganga at first. He looked like a good player.
Yeah.
Past tense.
He did, yeah, and then he just seemed to fade out. He just like lost his way, but you know, that's kids, and it make an early start. You know, that they start well and then they fade out. You drop them for a bit while they go away and rethink what they did, and then hopefully you come back and they, comes back new and fresh. What they've got to do is figure out how to use Ndombele.
What a player!
Exactly.
He is a good player.
If they can't
would
get the
shine.
best out of him, they're going to struggle.
I mean, that's down to the manager. It has to be. I mean, because that guy would shine in any football team on the planet. There is nothing about him that is. I can't think of anything bad.
He's quality. I mean, he dominated the Man City midfield, and that takes some doing.
He's a fantastic footballer that any top team in the world he'd make look good. I just don't understand how he's not shining there. It's just, what is he? Is it a Ndombele a problem, or is it a Jose problem?
Well,
I think it's a Jose problem.
I think at first it was a bit of both. I think it's a bit of both, to be fair. I think he's still settling into England as well. You've got to remember, he's not long come. He's come over from France. He's only 23. It's going to take him a while. You just need people to show a bit of patience with him. Unfortunately, I'm not sure Jose's the right man to do that.
They're an awful team to watch, aren't they, Tottenham? Under Jose. I think they are. And I don't know whether people enjoy playing for Mourinho with some of the tactics he plays. And, can you fault him if he's not happy wanting to park buses and the way he plays? I'm just not a Mourinho fan whatsoever. That's probably
he's not given license to do what he's good at, probably. Not given that.
He's held back for me, but
he's stifled for sure. But then he's putting cogs into round holes because he needs to buy players that fit his identity, and then you're really going to get a boring team.
Yeah.
So
he's brought in Højbjerg already, so.
So, I mean, Harry Kane's not going to last long there because he's a winner. Well,
yeah, but I don't know, because he suits the way Mourinho plays. He's perfect for it because all he wants is one man up front to do all the scoring.
Yeah, but
it was the way he played with Drogba as well. He just had him up front. Everything went to him, and then he just shoots from everywhere and and hopefully scores enough goals to win. To sneak the result.
The thing with Harry Kane is he's a quality player. There's no argument for me about that. He is a quality player, and he'll want to win things. And if he thinks that he's not going to win at Tottenham, he'll want away.
But he's been there for how long, and he still hasn't figured out yet that they're never going to win anything. You think he'd realise? I know he's a footballer, so he can't be very bright, but surely he's got to have figured out by now, this is Spurs, we don't win things.
Yeah, I would. How old is he? 28? 27.
I think, yeah.
He's got to be off this. I mean, I think he'll give him this season. Other than that, he's got to be off. I mean, if he really does want to win anything in football,
he should have left ages ago if we wanted to win.
Yeah, something. He's going. I mean, he's a Spurs fan as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, he's shown that little bit of sentiment and loyalty, but they're going nowhere fast, even with him in the team. They're finishing 8th, so they've. I think it's really doom and gloom. 6, sorry, yeah. I mean, I think it's real doom and gloom down there.
They don't seem to be going forward at all, do they?
Not at all.
He stifles teams, though, for me, Mourinho. I know he's got great pedigree, and he's got a CV to die for, but it's the style of football he plays is not everyone's cup of tea. Certainly not mine.
But Billy, his style of
it's too negative.
His style of football, Billy, was regressing and from I think it was just after he probably left Chelsea. People didn't cotton on to it. They just thought it was the same football, but it wasn't.
No, his mood changed, and he obviously didn't enjoy going to Manchester. And I know this isn't the Mourinho show; it's all about Tottenham, but I don't think he fits the profile for many teams whose supporters want entertainment. He's out to win things at any cost, and if it means playing boring football, so be it. That's not what people want to watch.
If he wants to win things at any cost, why did he take the Spurs job?
And the United job.
Yeah. Well, United have a history of winning things in recent times, but Spurs, I mean...
He must have thought he could do a good job.
But they don't, you look at their...
you know what?
Back down to London.
That might be it.
I think he's the biggest mercenary in football. Yeah. And I think I'm sure... listen... 10 million a year or whatever it is, how many... It's just great money.
I'd take the job if they offered me it at that price.
Yeah. It was a 2-year contract.
For less if they're listening. If you're listening, Mr. Levy, I'll do it for less.
You do it
Not much less, but...
You do it for cream cakes. Listen, it was a 2-year contract at Spurs, correct?
Apparently, yeah.
23? Yeah. No, it's still 23.
Is it? Was it a 3-year contract?
No, it was only 2 years.
3.5, roughly, because he joined in November, didn't he? To 2019, and it was till 23.
All right.
Wow. I thought it was a 2-year contract.
No, he signs longer contracts now to show he's staying for good, to show he's there for the future and building something.
Well, and he knows that he's going to get fired after 2 seasons, so he's going to get his win-win. It's ridiculous. You'd have thought somebody like Levy, who's such a savvy, sharp wheeler dealer, that wouldn't give somebody like that a 4-year contract worth 10, 12 million.
Sharp, or is that just something that's been said by the media because they loved Spurs? Because nobody wants to deal with him that I know. There's a lot of clubs that won't deal with Levy.
Yeah. He's a mercenary. He's another mercenary as well.
Well, it's just that everything he does, he's such a pain in the ass to deal with, apparently, that a lot of teams don't want to deal with him.
Right. And Holly, shut the door, please. And
is this the wives? Is this like the wives Reader's Wives special?
The Wags edition. This is the Wags edition.
Oh.
Okay. What was I going to say? Yeah, but the thing is, and he gives some crappy contracts, doesn't he? He incentivizes the contracts. Like in year 1, you're on a certain amount, and then you get an extent of something. His players aren't on that much money either.
Weird.
Comparatively,
it started to go up now. He's had to, move with the times, like.
Gotcha. So,
how do you think their season's gone? Would you say?
I wouldn't. I'd say it's been a pitiful season. If top 4 is always their aim lately, anyway, and they've underperformed for sure for me.
Yeah, they got some good players there. They have got some good players.
We've already talked about Ndombele, but Lo Celso, that Fernandez they signed. Who else? Ryan Sessegnon. What's happened to him? He just vanished. They got that Bergwijn's quality, but they just don't seem to be making the most of it. Obviously, losing Danny Rose in the January window was obviously a big blow.
Massive setback.
Oh yeah.
All right. Listen, guys. Let's have a laugh now, right? Let's lift the mood a bit. Let's talk about Leicester.
A laugh? That's Brendan Rodgers, manager of the year to be. That's his team.
Tell me, lads, how do you finish 5th when you had 2nd, 3rd, and 4th up? How do you do that? It's impossible.
Well, when we went away to the Club World Cup thing, and we come back having won it, and we're jet lagged, and we're playing them, and at the point they're second, and supposedly they're about to overtake us. Remember, they were about to run us down. Remember, they were going to run rings around us. This is what the media was saying. Yeah.
It was December 26th. I remember the game.
And they're going to go above us when they beat us, and all this was what the commentary was. All the talk in the media before it. And we stuffed them, and our players were jet lagged. How? I mean, that just shows how bad a manager Brendan Rodgers is tactically.
They've been punching above the weight for me. I don't think they're that good a side to be top four. I'm made up they finished outside the top four. I don't think they're good enough to represent us in Europe. I know they're still going to the Europa.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you've missed something there, Bill.
Yeah, no, they're still the Europa, but it's not the big trophy. It's not the top two.
But that's not Europe.
Yeah. I mean, they've got some all right players, though. I mean, that Ndidi's is very good.
Yeah. I've got some.
I know you guys probably don't, but I rate that Sionchu. I think he's a good. I wouldn't mind him at Liverpool.
Awful.
I wouldn't mind him at Liverpool.
He's got no positional sense at all. He makes Harry Maguire seem intelligent. He's just quicker. That's all. He's exactly the same. He's all over the shop, but he's just fast. No thanks.
I think
not
a job for that.
Oh, he's awful. The one I'll have James Maddison's the reason why they do well.
Quality player, yeah. Quality player.
If only he'd stay on his feet.
I'm not understanding why the media aren't lambasting Rodgers for this. I mean, I don't know why.
Them. And he tells them things. He gives them he gives them things when they want to talk. You know what I mean? He'll give them info and stuff, and good sound bites. So they love him.
Yeah.
And that's why he gets away with being so average.
But don't you think it seemed like Leicester I know they won the league a few years ago, but they've done nothing for a big number of years. I know they won the title, but besides that year, they haven't been that great. And for the size of club they are, I think fifth is still a good achievement for them.
No, I agree.
They're not a big club, are they? So they've done well.
Yeah, so, I know you're not big fans of Brendan Rodgers, but I can take him or leave him myself. But, they've done well.
He had an 11-point lead. He had an 11-point lead. You can't just lose. You just can't give up 11 points when you're going for the Champions League.
That's the thing, Billy. It's not that he's not. They've not done well to finish fifth. It's that they were so far ahead. They shouldn't have finished fifth.
But is that a lack of squad depth and coming to the end of the
3 months off? Remember, so they had a break. So you
can't. I know.
So there's no excuse for it. The problem is the players that he lets. Everything he does is about Brendan Rodgers, and players end up resenting that. They don't work as hard for him, and it does fall off. You saw it at Liverpool, seen it at Celtic. Their performances were getting worse over the time he's in charge. That's how he works.
No, it's about your better knowledge because you know far more about Brendan Rodgers than I do.
I mean, you've only got to look at things like Ben Chilwell and Chowdhury missing training sessions and stuff, and that. He's not disciplined enough. He's not got enough respect from the players.
Yeah.
It's a surprise when he says we instead of I. Put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you've only got to look at when he was at Liverpool. He would say things like, Raheem Sterling did well because I did this. You know what I mean? It wasn't Raheem Sterling had a great game. He scored these goals. It was, but I got him to do this every time, and that's how he talks about this. The same with Leicester. It's always about him. It's the same with Sam Allardyce. That's why they have to constantly change their team, change the players. Yeah. Because it's all about them rather than about the players, if you see what I mean. And that's the same problem that Mourinho's having now.
Yeah.
Is that he's made it about... At first, it was about Mourinho because he was protecting the players. He wasn't all about them. It was always all about him when it went wrong. It was his fault when it went wrong. And it was the players when it went well. You know what I mean? That was what he was like.
Yeah.
But it's changed now, and it's all about Mourinho. Everything is about Mourinho, and that's how Brendan Rodgers has been from the start. Ego, too much ego. That's the problem. That doesn't make a good leader.
I'd say it's worse than that. I'd say it's narcissism.
Possibly, yeah. But
I think that
when you look that good in orange, you know, it is a jumpsuit he's wearing, isn't it? It's not a tan, is it?
and you've got to, and you contrast it with somebody like, listen, we're going to talk about the Messiah in a bit, but when you contrast it with somebody like Klopp, who's all about the team and who takes everything personally and who says, if anything goes wrong, it's my fault, blame me. I mean, who are you gonna laud and love? You know, the players want to go through brick walls for Klopp, and I don't think they do that for Rodgers.
No, initially they want to impress him, but after a while you just get tired of hearing it's all, oh, look what I did, look at me, and it becomes a bit much.
But that's just generally, not even in the outer society as well. When you're at work or when your manager's taking all the credit, it just gets really. It's the same principle. You just gets really, really. Of course, you're going to get annoyed by that when you're doing most of the work and the manager's taking the credit. So it's the same principle.
And the problem they've got is, where do they go from here? I mean, who can they attract to their team to take them to the next level?
Managerially or playing wise?
Either. I mean, I just don't see
I think they're a bit one-dimensional. They rely on Vardy too much, over the top balls for Vardy to get the goals. Don't get me wrong, he scores a lot of goals, Vardy, and he's very good at what he does. But they've got no plan B for me.
And he's 33 years old, Vardy. What are they going to do next? What are they going to do when his legs go? And they will go soon.
They are screwed. They are screwed. They'll always. I mean, we beat them to the Greek fella as well, didn't we? The left back.
Oh yes, yeah. I wasn't going to mention him yet, but
is Chilwell going?
Well, they'll let him go, but they want a huge fee, so that's put off Chelsea. I think it was 100 million or something ridiculous.
No way.
I mean, the guy's got his head up his own backside. Why would you want to? You're not going to spend that on him.
Well, they're going to spend that on Havertz. They're not going to spend that on him.
Well, exactly. You know what I mean. You buy it, you spend it on quality attacker. You're not going to spend it on a defender if that's what you're spending on a top class attacker.
Well, to be fair, they've got the money to deflect Chelsea as well. So it's not. They don't need the money, Leicester.
Yeah, I just wonder who they get. You know, who can they get to improve them? There's not really.
Yeah, but they're going to be. Leicester are traditionally a club that unearth gems. They don't buy the finished product.
Yeah, but you can only go so far doing that. When you get to when you're on the edge of the top four, you need the finished product now.
No, you do.
You can have a few young, but they've got most of their players they've got are in and around the first team are nowhere near the finished product. You know, and they need the finished product now to make the team, take that next step.
And there's not many N'Golo Kantes about that they can get, is there?
No. I mean, you're basically hoping that people like Tielemans and Ndidi carry on improving, aren't you?
Yeah.
If they stay.
Well, yeah. Well, I can't see who's going to take. I can't see who's going to take Tielemans. I know people rave about him, but I just don't see it. He's a half-ass player for me. Backside off going forwards, but defensively, you just watch him and he strolls. He doesn't work hard enough. He'll do it when he thinks, when it's right by him, he'll make a half effort, but that's it.
10-yard run or something, yeah.
It's not like you watch a player that works back properly, and then you watch him and you just think he's lazy on the defensive side.
Maybe he'd be better under a better manager. He might improve under a better manager. Maybe.
Yeah, someone who demands more from him.
Because he is talented, Tielemans. He is talented.
He expects Ndidi to do a lot of work for him.
Yeah, that's the problem I think they've got. And they've got that Chowdhury and Amati as well. I quite
Well,
like
they're
that.
losing.
I quite like that Pratt. No, I'm not talking about you, mate. I'm talking about Dennis Pratt. I quite like him. I think he works hard and that, but he doesn't get enough games.
You know, he was years ago. He was Prey, Prae, right? He was
Yeah.
linked to Liverpool years ago.
Yeah,
Remember?
he was always a good young player. He was
Yeah,
one of the Belgian
yeah.
soup, the golden generation or whatever they call him.
Yeah, yeah. Guys, moving on to Chelsea. Done with Leicester?
Yeah, there's not really a lot to say about Leicester, is there? They're kind of
Yeah.
stuck in limbo now.
Yeah. All right, Chelsea it is. Came fourth. They scraped top four, I suggest, but will be a different animal next season because of their purchases and the players they have at their disposal already. They'll have an attack with Ziyech, Werner, Pulisic, Odoi,
Yeah, but
Havertz, like he'll probably sign.
Yeah, but don't you think their attack was always really good? They never had a problem with that. The problem was they can't defend, and they've not yet improved that.
But they're going to buy defenders. They're not going to go into the season without buying defenders. So
I just
they'll
think
have
they should have done that first, and then worried about it.
Yeah, but what about if they couldn't? They need to steal the attackers. I mean, if they're going back to front to back, it doesn't matter really, as long as they get the
But
players
unless
that
you
they
get a keeper, it won't matter what they do.
they'll get.
Terrible keeper.
Because that Kepa's
Kepa. Oh,
chocolate
awful
wrist.
keeper.
People in glass houses.
I was going to
Billy.
say, we're not talking about Pickford here, you know.
I wouldn't swap Pickford for Kepa. I think he's worse.
I think
Yeah,
you're
I wouldn't.
exaggerating a bit there, like. You might be going a bit OTT, that one.
But how well Frank Lampard done? I think he's had a marvellous season. He's an A+ for me as a manager this year.
But I wish I
He's in the big time, and I think he's done really well. I think he's a nice guy.
Nice guy that stamped on Xabi Alonso's ankle deliberately to break it. But we'll go there, yeah. And I've seen there's videos of him from the past when he was, yeah. But anyway,
I think he's done really well.
The jury's out for me.
yeah. I just think he was the right man for the situation they were in, but. Long term, I'm not convinced he's got a tactical clue, and having Jody Morris alongside him's a problem rather than a help. They needed someone with more experience.
I'm not a Morris fan. Well,
Yeah.
I think
A tactical manager.
as a good manager. I think he's good. He's a people person, and I think players will play for him. And I think that's what's got going for him.
I don't think Jurgen Klopp thinks he's a people's person.
Yeah, I'm not convinced. He just seems like a bit of a whiner. Yeah, I mean, just ask Leeds. Last season when he was whining on, he just seems to be one of those managers where when things matter, like Brendan Rodgers is another one, when it comes down to when the chips are down and they've got to get a performance out of their players, they fail. Derby in the playoffs last season. FA Cup final. And that's a worry. He's got to get over that.
I'm not saying he's the finished article. He's learning, and he's like Arteta. For me, two up-and-coming players who are going to be really good managers. It's early days for him yet, and
I can organise a defence for me.
He's going to do well.
I think he's in a better position than Arteta, but I think Arteta is more tactically aware than Lampard. I don't think Lampard is this heralded young manager that everybody says he is. I mean, give him next season when he has all these players and he'll have a defence to work with, etc. Judge him then. The jury's out at the moment for sure.
Right. Well,
he needs to prove that he can make it work when it matters. For me.
Yeah, give him a bit of time. I think that's.
I wouldn't argue that, Bill.
The biggest problem in football is that people aren't given enough time these days.
No, I wouldn't.
Give him time. Give him another couple of seasons, and if he hasn't done it by then, I'll fully agree with you. But at the moment, for me, he's one of the best up and coming managers, and it might seem words in the end,
but I just look
for me, want him to do
You
well.
look at people like what's his face at RBL.
Nagelsmann.
Yeah, and
Nagelsmann.
there's a difference is night and day. Lampard's not even close to that level. And
Yeah, but Nagelsmann is. You're giving an example of the best young manager on the planet.
Yeah, but
So that doesn't no comparison.
yeah, but Chelsea are spending £100 million on one player. They should be having the best rather than a learning man just because he's a club legend. That's what I'm saying. He was fine when you couldn't spend money, and he solidified the team. You know, just got them through this season. But I'm not sure he's the right choice to take them forward. He's not shown me anything to suggest he can do. He's certainly not shown anything tactically. He's always losing when it matters, and that's a problem for me. That suggests there's an issue there.
What you mean traditionally, or at Chelsea?
No, with Lampard himself, because he did the same at Derby. Okay. They flopped in the playoffs.
Okay, give him a good keeper, give him a decent defence, give him
but it was up against Arsenal who can't defend either, so that's no excuse, you know, in the final.
Yeah, but he's not going to have the players. He's not going to have the players. He didn't have the players.
At the end of the season, you saw what happened. They fell away when it mattered.
Yes, but he isn't going to have. He's going to have Werner on his side. He's going to have Ziyech in his side.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that, but if you need to spend all that, you know, to be competitive as a manager, that means that there's a problem with you. You should be able to do it with the team. The team he had was good enough to get where he got. You know what I mean? Under anyone. He's not done anything special to get them where they were, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but every manager, I mean, not every manager's Klopp. We know.
I'm just saying that, like Chelsea, if they want it, they're looking to spend to win trophies.
We had to do that.
The right man to do that.
We had to do that.
No. You're not listening to what I'm saying. I'm not complaining about them spending money. I've got no problem with them doing that. Right. What I'm saying is he the right man to be in charge of a team that's spending this money to win trophies? I don't think he's the right man to take them forward. I think he's the right man to come in and solidify it and get them through this season because he'll have the fans on side. But I don't think he's got the tactical nous or the ability to organise a defence. He hasn't got a clue what to do with the defence at all.
Now I understand. So what you're advocating is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you would have given him a 1-year contract, get Chelsea through the transfer embargo, solidify a position in Europe top or Champions League, or Europa or Champions League, and then given the job to somebody else.
Well, then I'd have re-examined it and seen how he got on. But yeah, from what I've seen, I don't see anything to suggest he did. The only reason I would say, yeah, you can carry on, would be if you brought in a very, somebody who's experienced in a tactical, a tactician of some kind to help him out. Someone to sort out the defence and to help him with the tactics. Because tactically, he's been shown up a few times.
Didn't he still do that?
Yeah, he definitely needs help. He's just not. This is what I'm saying. He's not ready. He should have stayed at Derby for me. I think he's come to Chelsea too early because of the situation they're in, and he's not ready for the job.
I'd like to hope you're wrong there. I'd like to see him do well.
It's a bit like Arteta. I just think it's too early for him to be managing Arsenal. Should have had another year somewhere else. Should have had a few years somewhere else. They're jumping in at these big jobs instead of getting... And it should be the best manager around rather than... They should be getting the best manager they can rather than the best, some head, assistant coach that's never managed.
Shut the door.
We just have to see how that one goes. Or, what do you think Williams what's going to happen with William?
Looks like he's off to Arsenal, doesn't it?
Yeah.
3-year contract, 100,000 a week. We've got to mention that when we talk about.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, does seem a bit much. 3 years for him.
I mean, he's going to lose his legs in a year or two, and you've got 100 grand. I mean, Arsenal are in a disarray. I mean,
is he that good anyway?
He's better than what they. Well,
he can be.
But I mean, how many goals has he got? How many assists has he got in the time he's been at Chelsea? He always flatters to deceive for me. He's got so much ability and so much technique and pace, drive and that, but he never seems to actually achieve anything for me.
And is he playing the same position as Pepe?
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? Pretty much.
And what
yeah.
the hell have they just got? 1 minute, they bought a £72 million winger, and they've just added a 33-year-old on 100 grand a week for 3 years for the same position.
Yeah, but you've seen Pepe play. You think I think I'd be looking to replace him and all, to be fair.
What the hell is going down there at Arsenal? I mean, that's a mess and a half.
Well, you were the one saying they were great and they'd had a fantastic season.
No, I didn't say they had a
And Arteta
fantastic
knew what he was going to take them forward.
No, I said, so you're putting words in my mouth. I said that they had a successful season in context, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
And let's carry on with Frank Lampard. I lost respect for him when he had a pop at Jurgen Klopp, telling him not to give it the big one after winning only 1 league title. Excuse me, Klopp's won 3 league titles and got to 3 Champions Leagues. So when you do that, mate, then you can start talking.
Well,
you don't know. We don't know what got said. We don't know what got said.
It wasn't even anything to do with Klopp, Bill. It was Pep Linders he was having an argument with, and all Klopp did was step in and
he never said it was Klopp. He never said it was Klopp. He said about the club and what got said on the bench, and it was Linders, and we know that. But
no, but Klopp
he never said it was directly Klopp. He never blamed Klopp. He said things got said on the bench.
He had to go at Klopp. You could see it on the pictures, mate. He had to go at both of them. I don't have a problem with that. He's just a sore loser. He's just a brat. You know what I mean? That's what they like. They want to win, and they get upset when they don't. And they're children, and they're just not mature enough to cope with it, are they?
I understand them. I understand they've got a winning attitude. They don't want to lose, and they're petulant. But the thing is, Klopp didn't deserve that for sure, and Lampard shouldn't have said that. That's for sure.
No, I don't think Klopp was the brunt of his anger. To be honest with you, I think it was Linders. But Klopp is the overall. Man,
okay, really. But what did he have a pop at Linders for celebrating? Did you see how
No, I don't know what got said.
Yeah, no, he has got him for celebrating. This is what happened.
But did you see how Chelsea used to celebrate under Jose?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, but
isn't that hypocritical?
Yeah,
but they got a goal disallowed, didn't they? And something got said. I don't know at all about it. Well, apparently, when the goal got said, no, it probably doesn't in the grand scheme of things.
I was more bothered about the whining he did when Leeds, the Spygate thing and all that. It's like, just get on with it. And it's the same with this. It's just another thing. He's just turning everything into a. It's a Jose Mourinho tactic, deflection. You've lost. You were crap. Stop whining. Just get over it and look to improve for next time. That's what he should be doing. Instead, he's busy in the media giving it mouth. And you can't do that when you've lost. You shouldn't be. You should be busy working on improving.
Yeah, well, he's still learning. So let's see how he goes from now on.
Yeah, and I'm sure he'll improve. It's just I just think it's too early for him to be on his own at Chelsea, which is basically what he is. Because Jody Morris isn't.
No, Jody Morris is certainly not the guy to be with him. No,
not for a number 2.
It's just his mate, and Jody Morris is just his buddy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the wrong choice. You need somebody there who's not your mate, who's going to tell you you're an idiot at times. You need someone who turns around and says, "Oh, you've got that. What are you doing? You've got that wrong, you idiot." You need that sometimes. You need someone to tell you you're being an arse, don't you?
That's fair comment. Yeah, fair comment.
And I don't see Jody Morris as that. He'll be backing up the decisions rather than turning around and saying, "Oh, come on, Frank, see that? I just don't see it with Morris. I can see him being being an arsehole, but I can't see him being turn on Frank, if you see what I mean. I'm not even convinced he'd know enough tactically to be able to. He's never shown any sign of it, has he?
No.
Right, guys, I think we need to inject some laughter and some hilarity into this conversation. So let's
Back
talk
to
about
Everton.
Man United.
Oh.
The great news is Ole is still driving the bus.
Oh, yes.
Thoughts?
I think he's had a bad press.
Do you?
I think he's done quite well. I think he's done quite well since he's been
What,
there.
66 points again? Wasn't that what Jose Mourinho got sacked for getting?
Yeah, but he took over at a very precarious time for United, and everyone was on his case. And to be honest with you, they done all right, United, to get where they did. I think that's a decent finish for
He spent
United.
a world record fee on a centre back, and he's made the defence worse. I'm just not sure how how
I don't know how
he's getting
much-
the great. Because for me, it's just simply the fact that Rashford, Marshall, and Greenwood are all, and Fernandes' appearance at the right time for those three. For me, that's the main difference, rather than anything he's done specifically.
Billy, are you making your opinion based on the fact that he got United into the Champions League?
Yeah,
Or do you? Okay,
I think
so-
that was his aim at the start, was to get United into the Champions League, and he done that. That was his aim, and good luck to him. He done all right. He's not the best manager. I don't think he's the right fit. But you've got to give him credit for for fulfilling the brief, which was to get United into the Champions League, to attract better players, to get the money in for them games. And I think, fair play to him. I don't think he's done as bad as people are saying.
So you don't believe in the notion that he should have been challenging for the title? Top four was the best they could do.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say so.
Champions League, not winning the title, but getting United into the Champions League was the best he could do.
At this stage, yeah.
Even though
And
they
if
got
he'd
the
have got-
same points as the previous season.
Yeah. Because when a new manager comes in, there's a lot of upheaval. And, and he's got to have a brief to say, here's what we expect.
But he
And they
came
expect
in
the Champions League.
He's been there he was there for a half a season, the end of last season, for the second half of last season. He had half a season, and then he's had this season as well. And I just don't see that they've improved anything.
Yeah, but Klopp didn't win anything for 3 years.
No, I get that, but I just don't see any sign that they're moving forward. Apart from three kids are improving as they're getting older, and the arrival of Fernandes, because the other signings don't seem to have improved them, but in fact, Maguire seemed to have taken them backwards, and De
Has
Gea
their
seems to
football
have
improved?
suddenly lost his
Has-
way.
Has their football improved since
No.
he got there?
No, that's my
You wanna-
point. That's
yeah.
what I'm trying to say. They still look.
Really?
They still park the bus and hit it long. And that's the advantage. They've got those three fast forwards.
I'm
and
not
centre
saying that he's the answer. I don't know what the question is, but I don't think he's the answer.
forwards.
But what he's done is he's fulfilled the brief, which was getting them in the Champions League. And
Yeah,
they'll
but-
move on from there. They might have another manager, but for what he actually come in to do, I think he's been successful this year.
Okay. I just don't think
That's
he's.
just my opinion, of course.
I don't think he's done anything at all, and they would have got. I think they're just like treading water under him. Is what I'm trying to say. They're not going forward,
So why
and they're
didn't
not
they
going back.
change it? Why didn't they make a change in the summer? Why don't they get rid of him and bring somebody else in?
This summer,
Yeah.
well, isn't he? Why would they? He's achieved the target they set him.
So he's had a successful season then.
Is that
Yeah.
successful? Because
He's
when you
had-
get
Yeah, but when you reach a target, then that's success, isn't it?
see, I'm of the old school where like it's like
Well, we know
used
you're
to
right.
hear this under Gerard Houllier, where Liverpool get in the top four, getting qualified for Champions League, and he'd talk about it being a success, and I'd be sat there saying, no, that's not a success. Liverpool should be winning the trophy. Anything less is not a success. The
When
only
you
thing
sell-
that's a success is when you win the league or
When I was-
Champions League.
When I was working and I had a sales job and somebody my manager set me targets and I met them, that was successful.
No. Exceeding them is what I'm saying, is when you're successful.
So you're saying setting a target and achieving a target is not success?
That's just meeting expectations. You've got to
But he's done enough to keep his job then. So he's done enough to keep his job.
Yeah, that's just like saying
Right.
you've done the bare minimum, haven't you? You finished in the top four with 66 points. It's not even like he's got a huge amount of points, you know?
Right.
No,
okay.
let me put it this way. I think that to give me a brief for this season, we want Champions League. We need Champions League. We need the finance to come with it, and we need the better players who want to play in Champions League. That's your brief. Next year, the brief's going to be different. It's going to be top 1 or 2. And if he doesn't achieve that, I think he'll be out. But for what he's achieved this year, I think he's done what he was told to do. And next year, they want to go improvement on that. And if he doesn't give them it, he'll be out the door.
I think you're 100% correct, Billy. I think that couldn't agree with you more, pal.
Do you think he can improve on it?
I don't know.
How can he improve on it? Do you think they're going to beat Man City or Liverpool next season?
Personally, I don't. But who knows? Who knows? Things change in football. Get a couple of players, and other teams have a big injury or a couple of bad injuries, and things change, and you get momentum, and you can go on from that. Who knows in football? But I think he deserves a shot at trying to get it. And if he doesn't achieve it, he'll be out the door. No problem with that at all.
For me,
if Ole wins the title with United next season, I'm checking out.
Yeah,
I'm done with
football, is there?
Mate, is.
But I think his big problem he's got to sort out, and he's got to show he's strong, is sort out the goalkeeper situation. He can't carry on. De Gea is clearly not the same player he was. It's not even.
No. Guys, they've got Dean Henderson, De Gea, and Romero at the club. That's just the dumbest. Who makes decisions there?
Well, Henderson's a kid come through from he's come through from the academy, so that's a different matter. I can understand that. That's having 3 of them's not such an issue. When Henderson was getting loans, but now they've got to pick. Do they throw their card? You can't just keep sending Henderson out on loan. You've got to either sell him or give him a chance soon.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think he should be the number 1. I think everyone.
I'd move De Gea on. I don't think Romero's good enough to be a number 1.
£350,000 a week. Where's he going to take him?
Yeah, that's.
Well, Madrid wanted him, and he should have went on Madrid wanted him because they were pay the money.
Yeah, but Madrid didn't. This was the problem. Madrid were all, it was all set, and the reason why Madrid deliberately put in the paperwork too late was because the fans didn't want him there, and the club bottled out of it.
Why didn't they want him there?
Because they loved the keeper that was there at the time, Keylor Navas. And there was a lot of, the fans have been showing a lot. When Real Madrid started negotiations, the fans were constantly backing Keylor Navas. And I don't know why, but they loved him. It's Real Madrid fans. They're not, they're not normal. Let's be honest. They're a strange breed, honestly.
Bruno Fernandes looks a really good player, doesn't he? He's made such a difference to them.
They've got to sort out their defence, though. They're another team.
Yeah, defence is everything to a lot of things. Man City have got the same problem.
Yeah, but
Leicester have got the same problem.
Yeah, but at least Man City have got Laporte. they've got a solid rock. Leicester have got Johnny Evans. They've got one solid player to build around.
Yeah.
I don't see that on Man United. I think Lindelof's the best of their defence, and that's not what you call a world-class defender.
No,
And if he's the best you've got, you're in trouble at this level.
Yeah, I can see that.
He should be a number two, he should be the one paired up with whoever's your best, basically, is what I'm saying.
Lads, now going back to the keeper situation, in all seriousness, I think we should just develop this, because what will they do? I think, in my opinion, what they'll do, they'll end up shipping out Romero and keeping De Gea. Oh, then they don't have a number 2. So they're screwed.
I think De Gea will be the number 2 next year. I'd like to think he'll be the number 2
at 350 grand a week.
I just can't see Ole being strong enough to drop De Gea.
If he's not performing, he can't be there.
But he
can't be
carried on
the
picking
number
him
1.
last season when he wasn't performing, and he could have brought in Romero. I just don't I don't think Ole's got the guts to do that.
So yeah, I'd like to think he's got the guts to do.
Yeah, you're right. I think
you can't have a liability like that costing you 15 points a season, which he has done this year.
I don't think he's that much of a liability. I think that's people over-egging it. I just don't think he's just not as good as he was, and he's not as good as I think Henderson's going to be. Rather than, I don't think he's actually a liability. He's just not rescuing them points now.
I disagree with that. I think it's a liability. I think it's turned into a liability.
Yeah. I think what they might do is they'll give Henderson a bit of money just to keep quiet for a season, and then have him back next season as number 1, and go with Romero and De Gea for this season, and try and ship out De Gea next season.
I think Romero will go to Everton. I think Henderson will come back.
You hope he'll go to Everton.
Well, I hope he'll go to Everton, yeah. And I think that there'll be a big fight for the number 1 jersey. And if there's any justice, Henderson will get it.
Do you know, I've noticed something, the theme in your... Suddenly Romero's this great keeper you're talking about, and conveniently, you're talking about he's been linked with Everton. I don't know if there's a coincidence there or any kind of, just thought I'd wonder.
Cesar Romero would be better than what we have at the moment. We've got enough jokers.
Yeah. I was just trying to think.
Romario would be better in goal for you.
Yeah. They've also got a problem.
We've got to get the keeper situation sorted.
But they've also got a problem at left back as well as centre back, haven't they? Because Luke Shaw only plays half a season.
Yeah.
And Brandon Williams is a right-footed player. He's not a left back by any means, is he? Let's be honest.
No.
They'll buy a left back.
Well, I was surprised I was surprised they went in for the Tsimikas before us. I was very surprised they didn't go in for him.
Yeah.
But they could easily go and spunk 20 million on Reguilón at the Real Madrid. So it doesn't matter.
I'm convinced he's that good.
But what I'm saying is they've got the money to buy their way out of. Well, they've got their money. I was going to say trouble, but they're relatively in trouble all the time. But I mean, for me, a club like Man United shouldn't be top 3, top 4. They should be challenging for the title.
Yeah. Do you see it happening now?
I don't have it.
I don't see it.
Do you think Sancho's going to make the difference if they get him?
No. I don't think they'll get him, but I don't think he'd make the difference anyway.
What
I've seen of Jadon Sancho, he's a good player, Sancho, but he's not this world beater than everyone thinks he is. It went out of the season anyway.
Yeah, I'm not overly convinced. You watch him in the Bundesliga and the defending's appalling rather than he's done anything good.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to be a game changer for them.
And I don't see that they need him now. Mason Greenwood's that player. Now that's a player.
Greenwood. He looks a good kid.
He's fantastic. And they've got James Garner still to come through. That lad's a player and all. I'm trying to think who else they've got. That Mengi as well, defender. I don't know which. I just know he's a defender. I'm trying to find. Teden, that's it. Mengi, Teden Mengi, Teden Mengi, or Mengi, or I'm not sure how you pronounce it. He looks a player as well. So they got some good young players coming through, but they just need to put some quality around them. And I'm not sure buying a player like Sancho makes sense for the team. I don't see that they need him.
You see the success of teams like Liverpool, who since they've showed that the backup, it gives the license for the players to play better, knowing that they're not going to concede a lot of goals. It just makes a difference.
But it's not just that. They've bought the players for the gaps in the team, if you see what I mean. Needed a centre-back, go out and buy Van Dijk. You go out, you needed the goalkeeper, buy Alisson. You know what I mean? Rather than needed a left-back, went and bought Robertson. Whereas Man United just seem to be still buying what they've already got, if you see what I mean. They're looking at Sancho, right winger. They don't really need... I mean, they will do when they've got a centre-back in place and a left-back in place, but right now they need a centre-back and a left-back, and they're trying to buy a right winger. It makes no sense. Well, right
maybe
or left
they're
winger.
just doing it. Maybe they're doing it because they see not necessarily a gap in their team, but they see a gap in the market where if they don't buy him now, they'll never get him.
It is marketing. It's because he's a big name and they want to get him in.
Yeah, but also next season he might not be available. He might be more expensive. So they see they might,
because his contract will be down to 1 year.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to go to United either, does he? So that if they want to get him,
but he wants to leave Dortmund now.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to necessarily go to United. He wanted to go to Chelsea, didn't he?
Yeah, he wanted to go to Chelsea because that's where he's a Chelsea fan and he's from London. He wanted to go back to London. He didn't settle very well in Manchester when he was at City either, did he? So.
Oh my God, I'd forgotten he'd played for City. That's right. Yeah, he didn't like the City, did he? Actually, he didn't like Manchester. You're right.
That's what I mean. So so it might be.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. They're paying him frigging loads of money. That's what it is.
I mean, if United come in and offer him enough money, he'll look the other way at that when he drives past the bits he don't like, won't he? Let's be honest.
So he'll be living in Liverpool then.
No, blacked out windows. Get somebody else to drive, and I'll just sleep in the back when we drive in.
Yeah, I mean, I turn the other cheek for £250,000
yeah, exactly.
a week.
You take it, don't you?
So,
and he's also you've got to remember he got a cut of the transfer fee as well.
5%. Yeah. And his agent took a cut, did he?
Well, his agent was asking for 50 million, though he was willing to waive it for Chelsea and somebody else. I've forgotten who. So.
Are you seriously kidding me? Out of 100 million, his.
No. His agent was asking for 50 million on top of the transfer fee. Yeah. Basically, the transfer would have cost any club who looked to do it about £200 million.
And I'm sure if it wasn't for COVID, somebody would have paid that money as well.
Man United would have paid it if it hadn't been for COVID. I honestly think they would have. I think that's what stopped them is that, they haven't got as much money as they would have had.
I'm lost for words, and that's not
normal. I just don't get it when you need to buy defenders. Should buy defenders, First sort out your defence, then we'll worry. You've got a good attack. They've got a good attack.
And when you're on that first, sort out your defence, and they've got the players up front. They've got in abundance as well. You've got lads on the bench who are good enough to play in it.
Yeah, I mean, they will need to replace some of them soon. I mean, Daniel James long term is not going to be the future of United, nor is Jesse Lingard. But in the short term, they've got players in their first 11 that aren't good enough in the defence. You fix that first. It makes no sense to do it any other way.
No. But I think they've got to improve next year. They've got to, or he's out of a job.
So what do you think's enough to keep him in a job? Do you think being closer to Man City and
Yeah.
Liverpool will be enough? Or do you
Challenge-
think he has to actually challenge?
No, he has to be within a certain points range of them. He can't be 30 points behind Liverpool, and he can't be
33.
25 points behind Manchester City, whatever it is. I'm just guessing on the figures there. But they've got to be contending for the league.
That was a good guess if you weren't looking. Because
Oh,
it's 25 points.
And they've got to be contending for the league. They maybe not winning. We're not saying winning, but they have to be in contention to win it. Would say 10 games to go, they've still got a chance to win it.
Yeah.
5 games to go, be on the tails of Liverpool and Man City, because it's a 2-horse race at the moment, and they need to be involved.
So you don't think they actually need to challenge, like, on the final day, be still in with a shout, like, but they need to be at least halfway through the season. They still need to be in with a shout rather than.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I think.
This season they were only chasing top 4 at halfway through the season, and it was all over for them as far as the title was concerned. Which, to be fair, was for everyone. But what I mean is, their only aim by that point had become just trying to get them back in the top 4, hadn't it?
And Leicester give it them. Leicester rolled over.
Yeah, but let's not.
And they were lucky in that way.
Let's not discount the fact that he might be sacked before the summer as well. He could be sacked way before.
He could be, yeah. Wouldn't surprise me. But it wouldn't surprise me with Man United.
Nah, they'll stick with him. Because the fans.
But why? If he... I don't know. I don't invest in that. I don't think that if they're languishing in 9th position in January, I don't think the fans will have too much.
You mean, next season. Sorry, I thought you meant this summer. You said this.
No.
I thought you meant before the season started.
I'm talking. No. I'm talking about. You're saying that will he keep his job next season? I'm saying, well, if in January, like I'm saying, he's 7th or 8th. There's not going to be too much love. There's not going to be an LA loving. They're going to be what they want to change.
I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, and listen, lads, that was nearly the case this season. I thought he was going to lose his job way before the season.
I thought he did.
Yeah. So he done well comparatively compared to what he was
saying at the start. I think he
turned it round.
He earned his brief, and.
But did he earn it, or did he look into it when Leicester folded and Spurs had a terrible season?
Well, it doesn't matter how he got it.
He definitely got lucky. But he got them into the Champions League.
It does matter, because in the long term, you need a manager that's actually going to take you forward and make you challenge on his own right, rather than by having to hope that everybody else has a disaster.
I agree with that, but the records are going to show that United in Champions League by getting more points than Leicester, and they deserve 4th. Because you get what you deserve in the league. Liverpool are champions because they deserve to be champions.
Oh yeah, no,
and not down because of the way it started.
Over the course of the season, they probably were good enough to get third. The only team I think that missed out on in terms of where they deserve to be was Sheffield United, because after the restart they just couldn't get it back together. I think they're the only team that didn't get the position they deserved this season.
And Wolves should have got higher up because they imploded after the restart as well.
Yeah, but I think they were starting to show signs of being tired before it closed down anyway. I think they needed a break, so it might have rescued them as well.
Fair enough. I mean, you're right about...
Because they had a hard... I mean, like I said, they played the most games in Europe this season, and they got a small squad. They were really... they've done really well.
Yeah.
With the...
you're right about...
Europa League, it's a pig of a competition for any team.
Yeah. You're right about Sheffield United. If they'd get a few more points, I think it would have been... Chris Wilder would have been there for manager of the season.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you've only got to look at how it started after the restart with that goal not getting disallowed against Villa.
Yeah.
That was
Villa,
clearly
yeah.
over the line, and they said
Yeah.
the cameras couldn't pick it up. Well, the cameras could, because we could see it on the TV footage.
Yeah.
How can their cameras not have as good a picture as the TV camera? I don't understand how that works. I mean,
That was
surely
the
they should just
catalyst.
overrule it.
Yeah,
And that was where they
That
fell
was-
apart for a bit. Yeah,
exactly. That was the catalyst for their collapse,
yeah.
and that was unjust. Because I think if they'd have won that game or drawn that game, it wouldn't have been as bad as it was. Because they really, really kind of imploded.
Well, it didn't help. They had a lot of
Yeah.
injuries to their defence. To be honest, that was, I think, was the main problem. They lost their, all season they'd had the same back three, and in the restart they had, at one point they only had one of them. So I think that was
Right,
more
yeah.
of as much of a problem for me.
Have we got anything to add about United? Any transfer news or anything for United?
Well, they're still looking for a winger. I don't, like we said, I still don't get it, but yeah, that's their thing. Having a look at players like Dembele instead of Sancho now.
Wow, the Barcelona player. Is
Yeah,
that true?
he's
Because I read that and I just thought it would be, that's all fluff. It's right. True, right?
Well, they're having a look at it, whether they're actually going to ever make a move for him. It's just like Barcelona need to sell, don't they? So
They think they can
suddenly
get a
it's
bargain.
become an option. Yeah, they might be able to pick up some at the. It's whether that's just a let's have a look at him, kick the tyres while and see if we can get Borussia Dortmund to come round on Sancho. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or you think it's bluff or counter bluff?
It could be. That's what I'm saying. I don't know, or it could just be because they know Barcelona need to sell players.
Right.
They need money, so they need to fund a rebuild. So, wouldn't you be looking at a few of their players? Anybody in their position that you wanted? Though I've got to say, I mean, you look at the Barcelona squad. I'm not too sure there's that many players you'd take. I mean, no one can afford Messi, so that kind of rules out anybody else because he's carrying them, and the rest aren't that good.
Guys, shall we move on to Man City?
Why not?
Yeah, move from Manchester to Manchester.
Across the city for the blue half, they finished second, runners up. I said runners up. I'll say that again, runners up. For
The
me,
defence let them down, didn't it? The defence let them down like it has done a lot of times.
Yeah, I mean, people say it was all about Laporte being missing, but even when Laporte's there, they struggle defensively. So I'm not so sure it was solely down to that, personally.
well, they lost 9 games this season. That's a silly stat for Man City. I mean,
Yeah,
what's the reasons for this, guys?
For me, it's the
Okay.
Pep thing. He does his teams always. By the third season, they start to get tired. He's constantly over their shoulder, demanding more, and it can get a bit much for players. And they do. The performances in his teams have always started to tail off after the third season. He got away with it at Barca because, well, there was no competition. He got away with it at Bayern Munich because there was nobody to
Real
compete with
Madrid
him.
competition.
Yeah, I mean, they were miles ahead. They'd spent so much more money in each of them. This time, he's actually got competition, and it showed.
I think there's a flaw in Pep Guardiola, a defensive flaw. He wants them to play too much football at the back. And as nice as it looks when you're playing these lovely passes across, and you get caught out. And you need a good solid centre-half partnership, which they haven't had for a long.
He
Well,
rotates too much
I
as well
remember
at the back.
yeah, he does rotate. Yeah, and
It's
after
fine
then
in
he
midfield
goes,
or up front, but your defence, you need your centre-back partnership to be solid.
You
in each
do,
other.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think he's going to finally address that. I mean, I'm not sure about you, Billy, but I know, Tristan, you're not too keen on Ake. So he's bought Ake. He's going to buy somebody else as another centre back. So he's kind of trying to address the centre back issue.
Do you think that's why he's bought Ake? I think Ake's come in because he can cover centre back if Laporte's out again, but I think it's more because Mendy's a knob.
What, a left back?
Yeah. Ake wants to play midfield. Let's remember this. He's played as much at left back as he has at centre back. I don't see the problem. He's pacey, good on the ball, positionally woeful, so you don't mind him getting forward. And Mendy's just awful. Let's be honest. He's been a weak link. He just smashes it across the box and hopes it hits somebody. You've two gone, haven't you? Bloody internet's gone off again. I bet you. Yeah, must have, because you two have gone. So, oh, you're back. It went all quiet then. Oh. No, VPN's gone off. So, apologies, I'll carry on what I say. Yeah. Go. You're back.
I'm back.
Yes, you're back now. Sorry, it went off when I was saying about... I just don't rate Mendy. He just smashes the ball across, runs.
No, Mendy's not. Mendy's not what you'd call a fullback, is he? For me, he's all right going forward. Defensively, it's absolutely awful.
He was fabulous at Monaco, though.
He wasn't. No, I
keep saying this about the French league. It's not a true reflection of a player's ability. For me.
He's totally brainless. He just runs forward, smashes it across. There's nothing else to it. That's it. He's got there's no intelligence behind his game.
So you think he's bought Ake as a left back?
No, I think he's bought him as cover for left back and centre back.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
I think he's in there so he's got someone, because he likes to rotate.
Yeah.
But he does it too much, Trish, for me.
I agree.
You never see them with the same back four, for a run of games. Otamendi will come in and at centre half, and then he'll play 2 games. He's dropped them.
It's odd because his defensive system is, his defensive based on 2 things, right? When you first lose the ball, if you're not in position defensively, foul. Give a foul away. Give players time to get back and into position. If you can't press it back immediately, I forgot about. You've got the first off, you get the press. Obviously, if you can't win the press, foul quickly if they're going to break. You know what I mean? Take them out if you can't, and then when you do that, you just set back, and then they just get into position. So when you want players to settle into position and hold a position to defend, you want players used to each other, players that have played together a lot. So you'd think he'd settle with the back 4. It's not like they're doing a lot of running, the centre-backs. I don't understand why he feels the need to change them.
He's got some really bad defenders like Stones and Zinchenko and, like you say, Mendy, Otamendi.
Zinchenko's a midfielder.
But he plays in right back, doesn't he? Left back.
Yeah, but he's actually a midfielder.
Yeah. And... is it Eric Garcia that there's a defender there that doesn't want to be there? He wants to be at Barcelona, doesn't he?
Yeah, he wants to go.
He hasn't got... he's reliant on his forwards and his midfield to win in games because his defence isn't that good. His forwards are that good.
Well, he's one of those. His thing is, keep the ball, don't give it away, and then we won't have to defend. Basically, that's how they defend by keeping hold of the ball so the other team can't score.
They can't get it, yeah.
I just you can do that to a degree, but you still have to have a solid defence for when you do lose it, because you cannot keep it for 90 minutes. It's impossible, no matter how good you are on the ball.
Well, for all the negatives of the defence that we're talking about Manchester City, the midfield and forwards are marvellous to watch, aren't they? I know we're talking about the negatives now, but the positives are a great side to watch.
David Silva. You know what? I'm not a big fan of the way they play. Too much possession for too much playing around at the back, and I don't like that. I find that tedious. Yeah, I'm not
a big fan of the playing around the back. But really? Going forward, and and as you say with David Silva, De Bruyne, play Aguero. They always look dangerous. They're always going to score. They're always going to have you on the edge of your seat. And I'm a big fan of Man City.
You're a big fan of Man City, did you just say?
I'm a fan of Man City as a side, yeah.
Yeah, be careful where you say that, Bill. Don't be saying that next time you're at Woodison, eh?
Let's throw in Raheem Sterling, Bernardo Silva, and they've got a cracking offensive lineup. There's no disputing that, and if you do dispute it, you're an idiot. But
Aguero, what a player he is! And
exactly.
Silva.
Yeah, that's the player they're going to miss in so many ways.
I'm going to miss
so
him.
many ways. They're going to miss David Silva. I think that could be to their detriment, to be honest, because
man's a magician, isn't he?
Yeah, you can't replace quality like that.
No way. And I think they're going to suffer because of it. I know that sounds dumb with the players they have, but he was just he's a generational talent, that fella.
Oh, he's a fantastic player.
I didn't realise he'd been there 10 years, lads. 10 years.
Yeah. God, yeah.
That is...
That's a big loss to the Premier League, isn't it? Him going. Because he goes too much for the Premier League.
And Tristan, confirm or not, but had we set up a deal for him?
Yeah, that was him and Villa, David Villa, and the Rafa Benitez.
Oh my God! Please.
Parry decided that the man who's now in charge of the English Football League decided they weren't good enough to spend the money on.
Roy Hodgson?
No, it was not Roy Hodgson.
Who was it?
Who was?
Rafa was in charge.
Oh, Rafa was.
Right, Rafa,
that was when Rick Parry fell out. Rick Parry, yeah. English Football League CEO.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh my God, I just don't want to. I mean, we could have had him and David. I mean, I don't even want to talk about it. Let's move on to the City's. That's made me sick. We got
to talk about Ferran Torres as well.
Absolutely. And what'd you make of him?
Highly rated. I've not seen a lot of him to be 100%. I mean, he's only a youngster, so
they got him for a good price as well.
I just don't see they need him. This is what I don't understand. They just seem to be buying players they don't need, for the sake of it. I don't understand what he's going to be doing. I suppose it allows Bernardo Silva to take over the David Silva role completely. But
yeah, because he was playing on the right, wasn't he, Bernardo Silva?
Yeah, it's him and Riyad Mahrez now. Torres and Riyad Mahrez now will be fighting over the right wing, but
they seem to have about 3 class players for every position. It seems that way. Clearly, it's not, but they just stockpile players
and left back.
Except for the back, yeah.
Yeah, and goalkeeper because they've only got one goalkeeper.
Yeah, I like the goalkeeper. No, I'll be honest with you.
Let's talk about their misdemeanors in Europe. Manchester City overwhelmingly exonerated by 93-page document that details why UEFA were wrong to hand down Champions League ban, but club are slammed by CAS for showing a blatant disregard for principle of cooperation. Yeah,
well, I mean, they knew what they were doing when they refused to cooperate. But that was because they knew that the evidence that UEFA had was illegal. I mean, UEFA. You've got to remember they got a bunch of evidence off this hack, right? Some of it accused UEFA and FIFA of misdoings, wrongdoings. Both of those pieces of evidence, the bits that accused UEFA and FIFA, UEFA and FIFA both decided that the evidence was inadmissible in court, couldn't be used to do any punishment. But when it was the same piece of, the same source of evidence was suddenly fine to be used when it was against Man City, even though they'd said it was out of context and all these kind of things. It's just nonsense. So I can understand why Man City weren't happy and refused to cooperate.
And 9 Premier League clubs sent a letter to CAS supporting to uphold their ban.
That's
embarrassing. Liverpool, one of the 9.
That is embarrassing.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. Yeah.
There's no need. It's nothing to do with anybody else. That's between CAS, Man City, and UEFA, and nobody else should be getting involved.
It's
Sorry, you went really quiet then.
It's in really bad taste.
Yeah, I mean, just let them sort it out. It's not your problem. Liverpool should be just concentrating on what they're doing. Man United should be concentrating on what they're doing. Whoever else sent, I don't know who actually said who the other ones were like, but all of them should be too busy concentrating on what they're doing to worry about what somebody else is. It should be up to UEFA to find out and CAS to decide whether they're guilty.
I totally agree with you.
You know what I mean? It should be nothing to do with the other teams.
Yeah. Yeah, poking your nose in.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got so little faith in CAS and to find the right verdict, then do something about CAS. Not complain about write these letters to put pressure on them. That's just wrong.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think City's season will be remembered for the Champions League furore because they were nowhere in top spot. So I think this clouded their season as well. Not that it's an excuse or anything. I don't think they'd have won the title anyway, but it did cloud.
I think it'll depend on how they get on in the Champions League. I think that will decide how it's...
Yeah,
but also it has
their season.
For me, it's left a bad taste in the mouth for them as well that they had to deal with all this.
Yeah,
I see that. Politics mixing with football.
Yeah, and they shouldn't have had to because, I said, if it was dismissed as not good enough to prosecute FIFA and UEFA, how can they say it's good enough to prosecute somebody else? That same piece of, the same source of evidence.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they got to. Yeah. Now, moving on to the Champions League, like you just highlighted and touched upon, I like this format. I really do because you remember in the old days. I know you guys will. It was a knockout competition.
So they say we're old.
Yeah. So 95% of the readers on the site will have no idea what we're talking about.
They won't remember.
It was a knockout competition, right? And from the first round to the final, it was just one game.
No, it wasn't one game.
It was two legs.
2 legs.
In the UEFA, it was 2 legs even in the final for a while.
Right, okay. So the European Cup was 2 legs up until the quarter-final. Is that correct?
I thought it was the final only that was 1 leg.
I'm pretty sure that's quite an interesting question because I was sure up until the quarter-final it was 2 legs and then it went to 1 leg.
I remember us playing 2-legged finals. Semi-finals, I mean.
Wow.
I'm sure I do. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, it's been a while, since it moved over, so it's easy to misremember it.
Yeah. So all this league basis it's just
I hate it.
Rubbish. It's just rubbish.
Yeah, it bores me to tears. I don't like it at all. If Liverpool aren't playing, I don't watch European football, to be honest.
Billy's just Billy say yeah. Billy to his right arm forever to be in the Champions League.
Seriously though, as just a pure spectator, with no real interest in any of the teams, he's more likely to know what it's like, whether it's interesting or not, to be fair.
It's not. I mean, it bores me, and we're in it most of the time. So it's just an excuse to watch Liverpool more. That's all it is.
Yeah, and even
there's no kind of. It'd be more exciting if you know that it was just about 2 matches.
Yeah, I was. I really enjoyed the old European Cup, but
Oh,
I
mate,
don't
yeah.
enjoy the Champions League at all.
It's a cash cow, that's all it is.
Yeah.
And it's not an exciting cash cow, though. I mean, you don't mind if they, making a cash grab if they make it exciting, like the playoffs. The playoffs, the Championship playoffs and that, and League One and League Two to get promotion. They're brilliant. They make it really exciting. Okay, you feel sorry for the team that finished theirs in the Championship that doesn't win promotion because they lose in the playoffs. But still, you've got to say, the playoffs have been brilliant.
Yeah, they are, yeah. Really exciting.
The Champions League doesn't get interesting until the quarterfinals.
I'm not even sure it gets into unless it's, and for me, unless Liverpool are in it, it doesn't get interesting at all. And I only watch it if Liverpool are playing. It's like I haven't watched any of these games. Just don't have no interest whatsoever. TV's on in the background, but it's just I'm facing the other way. I don't even look at it most of the time.
I think it's
And
a fun.
that's why this European League, if it ever comes off,
Yeah.
Edo too thinks it's going to come on, but I think it'll be the ruination of the sport. To be honest with you.
Oh, I love that word, ruination. Good for you, Billy.
The problem is, kids have a different idea, Bill. They haven't seen, they haven't grown up with the way it has been. They'll grow up with just seeing a European. They've grown up with the Champions League, and they think that's where it's at. Because they get it shoved down their throat. Football all the time. Football all the time. They don't see. They don't have where we grew up. There was no football on the TV. You had what Saint and Greavesy was about it, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was, yeah.
Do you remember that? Oh my God.
Oh, I loved St John's. Brilliant.
Loved that. Greavesy was my favourite. He was so funny.
Yeah, but St John played for Liverpool, so I loved him.
And the FA Cup final was the biggest day of the year.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's a secondary competition.
That was about the only game that you actually got to watch.
Yeah, from 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, literally, you'd get up just to watch it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. It was the highlights of the year.
All right, now, Billy, here's a question for you.
Go on.
Tristan, whose coverage did you watch for the FA Cup final on the day? The BBC or ITV?
BBC all day.
Tristan?
Well, I don't remember. I don't remember ITV coverage at all, so it must be BBC. They didn't have adverts, though. You got to remember. That's a big plus.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Because otherwise, you end up switching over for the adverts, and if you're watching something on both channels, you'd often end up switching over during the adverts to be, like when you were a kid and you're watching Saturday morning TV, you'd switch over and you'd end up watching half an hour or so of whatever was on BBC just because it didn't, because you'd switched over during the adverts and forgotten to switch back. So
I've got to be honest. I used to switch over to both of them. To be honest, we watch a bit of both. Which it was because they used to have interviews with the players and everything.
Yeah, well, you got to remember, in my family, I didn't get really much choice, to be honest. It was what my mum wanted to watch was what we were watching, and if I didn't like it, then you just get slapped until you liked it. You got to beat it into you to like it. So
let's get back to Man City. Do you think they'll win the Champions League?
I hope they do.
What?
Yeah.
Hope? Why? It's just I'd rather them than PSG, mind.
Because they're an English club and I want them to do well because they're an English club.
Oh, I don't care about that.
Oh, I do. I'd have no interest in watching if it was two other teams. I wouldn't watch the Champions League final.
I want Atlanta to win.
Yeah, I'd rather Atlanta win it out of the ones that are left. I'm not that bothered by them. It's just at least it'd be an interesting story if they won it.
City all day for me.
I wouldn't mind Bayern winning it either.
No, they're the same as City and FC Hollywood. They're not. No, that's their nickname, FC Hollywood.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, because they're just all, then they're just all glitz and glamour for German football. Obviously, that's. For most people, that's kind of staid and boring, but for Germany, they're all glitz and glamour, you know what I mean? They're just not
I want Lewandowski to win it, man. I've got
Well,
no.
yeah, okay, yeah, I can see that. I love him, but
Yeah, I like him. Like, he's a
yeah,
good player.
I'd still rather it was the big story, the smallest club left in it, which would be Atalanta. It would be a miracle if they won it. So yeah, it'd be them for me. I don't see
think
City or PSG win it.
No, but I don't think that Lewandowski gets applauded as much as other players. You know, he's
So, yeah.
he's been absolutely prolific last few seasons. I mean, the last 10 really.
I told you he changed his. I told you about him changing his diet, didn't he? Didn't I? A few years back when he was starting to struggle and he was putting on weight and that. Yeah, I can't remember. It was his missus and somebody else did the same, followed the same diet, and part of it involves eating the dessert before the main meal. Don't know how that makes a difference, like, but apparently it does.
Lads, drum roll, please. Who's going to give me a drum roll?
Not
Billy,
me.
give me a drum roll.
Billy's too
Well,
excited.
do drum
Billy's
rolls.
too excited.
Right, drum roll. Can somebody give me a drum roll? Come on.
Why? I don't know why you'd want to.
Just give me a drum roll, Tristan. Come on. Because now we've come to the team that was top of the pops, that finished #1, the Gargantuan Red, Inexorable Force, the team that won its first title in 30 years, which coincides with the last time Ed001 had intercourse with another human being. That's right, pod lovers. It's time for the Liverpool FC loving. Take it away, Billy.
Well deserved. Well deserved. I'm made up for them. Mainly because my two lads are mad Liverpool supporters, so I'm happy for them. I'm not happy for myself, obviously, but they deserved it, and every team who wins the league deserves it. But to win it by that margin and the way they won it, hats off to them. And I can't say no more than that.
Well, thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. Tristan, what have you got to add, my friend?
Don't think there's a lot you can add to that. They were, you know, and it's difficult to say it as a Liverpool fan. You know, how you don't want to big yourself up or anything, but we were fantastic this season, head and shoulders above everybody. The only disappointment was that we didn't do so well in the Champions League, but we won we won the World Championship. So yeah, I'll take that.
What a premiership of total domination. Defining moment for me for the season for me was
a bit too easy. You got to ask where was the rest of them.
I think the defining moment of the season for me was when I really started believing was when Fabinho scored that 30-yard screamer past Ederson against City.
I still don't believe it.
I think City had a claim for handball just before that with Silva or was it Bernardo Silva or David Silva? Do you remember before Fabinho scored that goal?
That was like years ago now.
Yeah. I was in a hotel in India watching it at a stupid o'clock at night, and that's the time I became a believer from a doubt. I mean, it was absolutely magical, and that's what just set the tone for the rest of the season.
Were you disappointed that they never got past the 100-point barrier?
No, I'm happy that we won it. To be honest with you, Billy, and I'm not trying to be sentimental or anything or over dramatic. I'm very happy we won it on 96 points. I cannot tell you how joyous that made me feel, because I think that
the only thing I'm saying about that is that they had such a fantastic season.
Yeah,
they should have broke the record because they were that good and that far ahead of everyone else. It should have gone down as history as the most points won by a team.
In history by the earliest team to win it and the latest. We broke loads of records. I just don't care, though, to be honest. The only thing that matters to me is it's number 19. That's it. Anything else, the other records, nobody bloody cares about that.
Yeah.
The only
But
person who gives a shit about that kind of thing is the commentator. Next time he's commentating on a match, he'll be able to bring it up for some, who's the record holder.
That hyperbole. I mean, we won the title. That's all that matters, And
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I just would have liked them to set the record because they deserved the record. And it's no big deal. But I just thought, with it being the first one for 30 years, and they could have usurped anything that any other team has ever done, and it would have been fitting if they had done. That's all.
Just gives them something to go for next year.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not
I can't see anyone stopping them next year.
I'm not sure that record will be surpassed. To be honest with you, if we were going to do it, I think this season would have been the time to do it. I think it's a very difficult target. To be honest with you.
I think the disruption of the COVID and all that caused, it made a mess of the season and things. There was other things, and I just don't think it mattered anymore. Not by the time we restarted. I don't think it really mattered at all. It was just a case of let's just get this done now and get it. But
everyone knows I'm a massive Klopp fan. Always have been. Fantastic manager. And what he bought in Alisson and Van Dijk was just amazing. He's seen what was needed to move forward. And I know they cost a lot of money, but he bought the best. And you've got to admire him for that. He went out and bought the best, backed by FSG, of course. But they needed two real stalwarts to come in and say, this is what we need. We need the best centre-half and we need the best keeper available in the world. And they got them. And they just took over the Premier League.
Billy, I totally agree with you. And they were the most expensive players in their position when we bought them. And now Kepa is the most expensive goalkeeper and Harry Maguire is the most expensive defender.
It's kind of embarrassing that. They're being cheaper than those two.
They look like frigging bargains comparatively. Now,
very much so.
Billy, Tristan, you'd pay 75 million all day long for Virgil van Dijk. I mean, that's a bargain. And again, 60-foot Alisson, no problems.
But you've got to say the key thing, though, was, for me, I think there's other things that were key. It was the fact that we'd managed to get Adrian in at short notice. And then Alisson got injured. And then he got suspended as well when he did come back and stuff like that. And he came in and, he made a mistake. And that was
7 games he played.
But sometimes, he saved us in a lot of games, and he was excellent for us as a backup, backup key. Things like that. People say we've got no strength in depth and all that, and we desperately need to buy. But I think we showed this season we had strength in depth. We had 4 different defenders. We had 3 centre back parts for Virgil van Dijk. He played alongside Gomez, Matip, and Lovren in the season.
And Phillips played. Phillips played as well for a game or 2.
Yeah, that was only a cup. That was cups though,
wasn't it? It's not just about the money, is it? It's not just about the money. Yeah, you bought the best and you got the best, and fantastic. But the emergence of Trent and Robertson as fullbacks, they never cost. Well, he cost nothing. TAA and Robertson 8 million was he or something like that, and they become. He's made them really good players, Klopp, hasn't he? It's down to him.
And he brought in Minamino for less than 8 million as well.
Yeah, but that's more.
He hasn't performed there, but what I'm saying is he's not gone out and just spent huge.
No, it's not been about just the money, no.
Yeah, he's brought in the players that he thinks suits the system perfectly. So,
let's talk about players of the season for you guys. Who would you say are your players of the season for Liverpool?
Trent. Without a doubt, he's player of the season.
Who, Trent?
Yeah, by
No,
far.
for me,
Mane's
for
second.
me, it's Van Dijk. I think he's made the biggest difference. He's a great player, Trent. No doubt
Virgil
about it. The
van
best
Dijk
fullback
was
in the world.
brilliant, but he had a shocking second half of the season. He was fading really badly. You know, before the break, he was really not looking the player at all. He was struggling.
I think he's brilliant even when he's bad. He's that good a player.
Yeah, but
you know?
I mean, we were talking about Gomez for most of this. You know, for a long period of the season was better than Virgil van Dijk. So I don't see how you can possibly say Virgil van Dijk was. Much as I think he's a fantastic player, but I think his standards dropped from godlike to human, if you see what I mean. So it's like, yeah, I know whereas Trent went from
He just made the difference. Matip and Gomez. Matip and Gomez, in their own right, are decent enough players. Yeah, decent. He's not as decent, honestly decent. And
he's better than that.
And Ball, you pair them two together.
It's the same as when you said Firmino and that are all crap, and Henderson was rubbish and that. You know, you undervalue sometimes.
To be fair, Endo was rubbish until Klopp decided to give him a different role and turned him into a great player. He was a very average midfielder.
I'm sorry, but
under Klopp, he's brilliant.
That's rubbish. Absolute rubbish. He's never given him a different role. He let him free in the second half of the season to go back to the role he played initially. That wasn't given. That wasn't.
I drink with lots of Liverpool supporters because I go to all Liverpool games because a lot of my mates are Liverpool supporters, and they were moaning about Jordan Henderson. Always passing sideways and backwards, and they were right. He was, and then he turned into this really good player.
They just listen to the media. It's the same as everyone. I mean, certain people get hammered because of the way they look. It's the same with like the way people hammer Mesut Ozil that we referred to earlier. Henderson got hammered because of the comments, because the way he ran and the comments made by Ferguson, and the media were constantly on his back, and that's why he got hammered, and nobody looked at what he did. He'd been playing forward passes of the kind of quality Gerrard had been playing since the day he arrived, and people still criticised him for only passing sideways and backwards when he played a 30 yards defence splitting pass 2 seconds earlier.
Yeah, but he was playing one or two of them a game. He was playing one or two of them, and I've become a massive fan of him. But I honestly think you're wrong on that. I think he's developed into an absolute brilliant player.
He's just got a better team around him that's enabled him to showcase how good he is. It's not that
could be the case, but I think he's changed as a leader. I think he's changed as an attacking force.
I think you'll find if you ask at Sunderland, he was already their captain as a kid. So I don't know where. I'm just sorry, but I disagree totally. He was a leader long before he arrived at Liverpool.
If you're a leader at Sunderland, you're not worth much, are you? To be honest with you, Sunderland are awful.
But they weren't when he was there. After he left, they were rubbish. But while he was there...
I think they were rubbish while he was there. What did they ever achieve? I don't know what Sunderland have ever achieved in their life. An FA Cup win in the 70s. They were
there with Everton at the time, you know what I mean? They were in the same kind of zone, so...
I don't think so. Well,
they faded after.
Anyway, getting away from that because that's the negative part. Jordan Henderson, player of the year for me, and he led the team fantastically, and so I've got a lot of admiration for him. And I was one of his doubters at one time, but he is being a real driving force for Liverpool.
Would you say who's the most important player in that team then?
The most important is Jordan Henderson.
Definitely.
See, I would say it's Mo. Without Mo, I really do feel we're fractured without Mo.
Do you know what I'd say? Actually, can I change that? I'd say the most important player isn't a player, it's Klopp.
Well, we're
It
going to get
wouldn't
to
matter it wouldn't matter which 11 are on the field. It's him that makes the difference.
So let's talk
I
about
don't
Klopp now.
disagree with that at all.
Yeah. It would be remiss of us not to talk about Klopp, because you're right. Without him, this would not be possible. He had laid the foundation for greatness. Every media outlet in the world is lauding him, so we may as well to jump on the bandwagon. There's really not enough superlatives to bestow upon him.
No,
He truly,
fantastic manager.
he truly is. I mean, I think we're all
Nice person as well. I think he's a good person.
He dealt with the
is
COVID
important.
situation really well, didn't he?
Yeah, okay.
You know,
He
sod
come
the
out with
football.
a statement about which I can only laud him for, is when he said when he picks a goes to look for at a player, he's looking for the background of them, not so much the player, the way they play, the background, what sort of person they are, and you know the religion and things. So forward thinking, you know, and I fully admire him for that, man.
Billy, we used to do that years ago.
Yeah, you might say, but it's gone out the window for the last 10, 15 years.
Exactly. It went out the window for a while.
It's by the best. Doesn't matter what they're like, the Balotellis of this world and all that.
El Hadji Diouf, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
But now
That's
they've gone
what
back to basics, and it's because of him they've gone back to basics, and it's worked out, and how refreshing it is.
He's brought back that Shankly-esque, Paisley-esque aura back to Liverpool Football Club.
Yeah.
We're once again, obviously we're touching upon greatness, but once again that fear factor is with us. People, we were unbeaten at Anfield, I believe. And you go through a whole season unbeaten at your home ground. That's a massive, massive statement of intent.
Did Atletico beat? I know it's not the league, but
sorry, yeah. They did.
Atletico might have beat you, but that's just.
I'm talking Premiership. Yeah. No, I understand. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm glad you pointed that out because I conveniently forgot. But yeah,
I've been trying to do that as well.
But I am so glad he signed that contract. And let's face it, he's been ably assisted because he's got world-class assistants. Everybody he chooses is top of their game. So he's got, and like I think Tristan said a few times in the past, that he isn't surrounded by yes men like say Lampard or whatever. He's surrounded by people that will tell him what they think, and they're the best at what they do. And that all combined makes a successful football club.
I think it all revolves around Klopp, though, for me. You know, you can have who you want in the backroom staff. As long as you've got Klopp, everyone's going to look up to him and they're going to respect him. And I think he could work with anyone. He's that type of player.
And the players play for him.
Yeah, they all love him.
Yeah, they'll play an extra 10% because it's Klopp in charge.
Absolutely.
And guys, they've done that in every football club he's gone to. So it's not just something he's picked up recently. Then those management skills he's had from day one. I read that Bring the Noise, the autobiography of Ralph Hogenstein, that German journalist. It just echoes in that book that everybody loves him, from everybody at the football club that he manages loves him, from like the people who make the tea to the people who make the decisions in the offices, the chairman, the CEOs, the CFOs. Nobody has a bad word to say about him.
But don't you remember when he first joined and there was an interview with, what's his face, the defender, the German defender, is it Hummel, Mats Hummel?
Hummel, yeah.
And he was, I think it was when he signed for Bayern or something like that, and all he wanted to talk about was Klopp and how great he was and how much he loved him and hoped he could work with him again at some point. And I just thought, like, you're supposed to be talking about you, you know what I mean? That was it. That was the entire interview almost.
The man is he's a humanist. I mean, I know he's a very devout Christian, but first and foremost, he's a humanist. He treats people like human beings, and that's where he gets great. That's his grace, and that's why people love him.
To be
You
fair,
know,
he's
and
lucky he doesn't have to work with you two. I'm sure he'd soon change his bloody tune if he did.
but listen, woe betide you crossing him because he doesn't take falls gladly, you know. But he gives you that human touch, and he teaches you like adults. And yeah, people have crossed him like Sacco, and I'm sure there's been one or two others as well. Klein maybe, but he really has got that Midas touch. And you're right,
Yeah,
Billy. He
yeah,
can
yeah.
go anywhere in world football and be a success. I'm so glad he turned down Man United, and I think that was because of his wife as well. She said now's not the time because they were all set. I think Klopp had kind of agreed to go there, and she kind of vetoed it. So we owe her a ton of gratitude, that's for sure. Old Ola.
He definitely makes the difference. You know, he cannot play. You know, the difference between him and the likes of Mourinho, and I'm on his case again. But you know, he comes across as a nice person, doesn't he? And you want him to do well because he's a nice person.
Yeah.
And I can't say nothing negative about him. I'd love to. I'd really love to, but I can't.
He just comes across as the kind of guy that you'd want to have a drink with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you'd be buying the drinks for sure. Because you wouldn't want to let him pay for a drink. You know what I mean? It's like, and let it be said, he's been ably assisted by Pep Linders as well, because he's had a massive input in all this, for sure.
It's not just him, all of them have. Achterberg, Mona, Namers,
Peter,
his name, Mini Klopp.
Peter Kravitz.
Yeah, all of them. They've all come in and performed their role to the best of the best. You know what I mean? They've been the best in their position this season.
Also, let's face it, FSG should be lauded for their investment and their patience. They initially made bundles of mistakes, like Daniel Kamoli, Roy Hodgson, the transfer committee, ticket prices, more latterly the furlough scheme. But to their credit, they created a winning culture through hard work, creativity, lots of creativity, and plenty of money. So we have to give them their dues as well. I mean, they could, mistakes they made, they could have cut their losses and just went home. But I mean, they deserve some plaudits as well.
Yeah,
and when there
I think everything to do with the club has been spot on.
Yeah, because when there has been problems, they've acted. I mean, Peter Moore, for example, when he's caused problems in the Premier League meeting, he's not represented the club to the best of, put the best face of the club forward, shall we say?
Yeah, this is interesting. Elaborate on that, Tristan.
Well, he upset. I mean, he said some stupid things that I'm not sure I should repeat on here because I'm not sure if I can. In the Premier League meetings, I'm not sure that I'd need to check before I said what he actually said.
Well,
but
yeah, you don't want to get
he said something that could be considered offensive, if nothing else. And regarding uncaring, offence, you know what I mean? It was so bad they struck it off the record. Let's put it that way. And he did a lot to. He didn't go down. He didn't exactly make himself popular with the other teams, shall we say? Let's put it that way. And I know they, people say, yeah, well, does it matter? That's just they're our rivals and all that. But you've still got to work with them. You're part of the same league. You should be, you should work together to improve the league, rather than to make sure the product's the best product you've got, so everybody's got the best. You want your competition to. You want to sell a player to somebody. You don't want them to hate you, so they're not gonna pay the money you ask. You want to buy somebody from someone. You don't want them to hate you, so they'll charge you twice what they'd sell to anybody else. You know what I mean? You've got to work with these people, so you don't want them to think you're an arsehole. And Moore was going the wrong way about that, so that's why his 1 year he still had a 1 year contract on the table that they pulled and let him go.
Yeah,
it had to be done.
So, So Billy Hogan.
He's the exception to the rule, though, isn't he? And what's happened at Liverpool is the big exception to the rule. Because everything else they've done has been superb.
And he'd been doing okay, you know. He'd been doing the right things. I mean, he was the one that was with Sean Cox. He was the one that spent the night there, wasn't he?
In the hospital,
Yeah, and stuff like that. You know, he'd been doing the right things, and then to go and do this, I mean, it's just, what is wrong with you? You know, you let yourself down at the last when it mattered.
The positive is that the mistakes they made, they rectified quickly.
Yeah.
Like the furlough scheme. The next day, they understood that there was a big furore about it, and they realised they judged this public sentiment incorrectly. And
you shouldn't get plaudits for that, though, because it shouldn't have happened in the first place. But I know they rectified it, but it shouldn't have happened in the first place. But everyone makes mistakes. That was a mistake that they made, and you shouldn't define anything by what happened there. It was a bad thing that happened, but Billy, I'm not put a dampener on the season. That's all.
Yeah, no, Billy, I'm not giving them any plaudits for that. What I'm saying is.
Oh, God. And you've cut out just as he starts to say something. I couldn't plan that any better, could you? Oh. And I don't know what he's been saying, but I'm apologising for this. No, you're probably... Maybe it should be... you should be thanking me for my internet going off at that point, just as he started. Oh, God. Sorry, my internet went off then. You'll have to... Oh, for God's sake, now the VPN's gone off.
Liverpool.
You need to go back
win the league.
You need to go back to when Abid started his rant reply to, yeah? It went off. My internet went off again.
Oh, gotcha. Where were we?
You just launched on a rant.
About...
I don't know.
I've had plenty of rants. I can't remember which one.
I don't know. I switch off when you speak, so I only take notice of what Billy says because he's interested. I was thinking it might. I was thinking I probably did the world a favour, really, by cutting it off there. Really, I think.
Yeah. Probably.
Which bit? Well, I mean, did you get the bit about the furlough scheme?
Yeah, you were talking about that, and then Billy said you shouldn't get plaudits for doing it.
Oh, gotcha.
You went on a rant afterwards.
Yeah, I was saying that I'm not going to give them. I'm not giving them plaudits for rectifying the furlough scheme decision, but you have to say fair play to them for rectifying what they did, with the mistake they made. You know, you've got to give them their dues for that. I'm not patting them on the back as such. But yeah, like Billy said...
You're not patting them on the back, but you are patting them on the back. I'm confused.
No, you know what I mean? I'm not patting them on the back, but fair play. They did rectify the mistake, you know? Okay. Like your parents didn't rectify you, did you? You were a mistake.
They did try. They still reckon I was swapped at birth.
Fair play for your mum trying to drop you into the Mersey, but fair enough. That didn't
many times, mate. Many times.
What happens next year with Liverpool? Do they win the league again by 20-odd points or whatever they won by?
No chance.
Well, you got to say, I like what they've done so far with Samakis.
Yeah, how much did he cost?
11.75 million.
Was that how much it was? I don't know. It was only it was his thingy fee anyway, wasn't it? Release fee rather than a.
Now, one thing you've got to look at, right, is why they've let him go for that cheap, because he's the golden boy of Greek football. Sorry?
Wasn't it a release fee with him?
So it's in his contract that he can, if somebody offers his release fee, he can go for that much.
Well, he's a Liverpool fan, so he would have, basically it was a case of, I want the move, make it happen, was the thing with him.
I swear to God, everybody we sign supports us. It's such a beautiful feeling.
It makes me sick. It does. Everyone else. I'm a Liverpool supporter.
Everton have signed
makes me vomit.
That's the problem Everton have got. They've signed all the players that support Everton, and it's come up with Tom Davies.
What's his name? Cenk Tosun and like Balassi support Everton. I love it.
Hey, Cenk Tosun had a scarf on the wall. I'm telling you, Everton scarf on the wall as a boy. He's a Robbie. He'd have to be Robbie Keane, wouldn't he? Support it to appeal an Everton fan.
He had a
Do you remember
He had a Tony Cottee poster on his wall.
But do you remember that Robbie Keane, where it's every club he joined, he'd been a supporter of since a boy. Even when he went over to America, he joined a team that had only just been created, like when he, after he.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. FC Minnesota or something.
Yeah, I can't remember where he went. But
So, to me, the Greek lad looks like a carbon copy. I mean, exact copy of Robbo. It's like for like.
He does look similar, yeah. From what I've seen, I've only seen little bits though. So,
do they expect him to replace Robbo?
No, I think it's more push him.
Yeah,
Robertson tired last season and he needed a break, and we couldn't give him one. He picked up a couple of knocks, remember? Because
he had a good season, though, didn't he? Well, they all had a good season. You couldn't say any of them had a bad season, could you?
Loris Karius didn't have a good season, to be fair.
No, he didn't. No.
But he wasn't with us, so we don't mind.
No.
So so there's more to come. You think?
I think they're more consolidating this year, Liverpool. I don't think they're going to be as far away from the others as it has been this year.
I see what you mean. Gotcha. I thought I was talking about transfer. Okay, yeah, I get you.
I think it's going to be tighter this year. But I still think Liverpool are going to win the league.
Can I ask you something, you two? What do you think of Nico Williams?
I don't think he's as great as people are making out. But the kid's young. He's just broken into the team. Trent wasn't the superstar he was when he broke into the team. So I think we have I'd be okay with Williams if Trent got injured, but I don't think he's Trent, but nobody is. But he obviously needs to improve on his defending. So did Trent.
Defensively.
Yeah, but he's got time, you know.
I've only seen him a couple of times.
One, he's dreadful. He just pulls and he's got no defensive skills whatsoever. He worries me. Got to say but then Trent did for the first season or two. So
yeah, but Tristan, there were fears about Trent's tackling last season.
Trent for the first season or two, Trent was a worry defensively, and now.
Yeah,
he's probably definitely the best right back in the world right now. One of the best ever.
Him.
Already, he's only 21.
Yeah, nobody touches him as a right back. I mean, I don't think that. I mean, there's Kyle at City. He's a good player. Kyle Walker.
Yeah, I like him, but he's nowhere near Trent. He's too many games. He loses his head, doesn't he? So,
yeah, but there's what I'm saying is this, like you say, there's Trent and then the others.
Yeah.
So let's talk a bit about Jamal Lewis, guys. I want to touch upon that because obviously he was very he was linked with us heavily. I still think that this guy, the Greek lad, is a better player. And better for our system because I don't think I like Jamal Lewis. Don't get me wrong, but I just think the Greek Kostis is the better player.
It's a bit early to tell.
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
But there's definitely potential there. But I don't know. He's got a lot to live up to. He's gonna become the new Trent or the new Robertson.
What, Smakis or Lewis?
Lewis. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's what. Yeah, I hear you, mate. That's why I like the look of this Smakis guy. But I wouldn't have been too upset with Lewis coming in either.
The only reason I'd have preferred Lewis out of the two, if it had been the same, the easy deal to do, is because we've now got, in our first team squad, we've got 18 non-homegrown players. So that's one that's got to go, because we can only have 17 in the squad.
So that will be
I know we've got a few. No, we've got Karius and
Shaqiri. We've got
Grujic.
Grujic.
I'd say those two first off. Then there's Shaqiri and Awoniyi who've got to go, basically. But still, you can't not put them in the squad. If they've got a work permit and that, you can't not put them in the squad if they're still with the team. So you've got to get rid of them before you can use the space, if you see what I mean. Because otherwise, straight to trade you can get them for. You know what I mean? They can force their way out on a free. You know what I mean? Force their way out with compensation. I mean.
Yeah. So talking about
to sell now.
So talking about transfers out, who do you think will go? Any rumours? Any whispers?
Well, Karius definitely. If we can get rid of him.
About Matip going? Is that true that Matip might go?
Well,
I can't see
the
that.
rumours, but he's never fit, to be honest. I mean, this is the problem. Wijnaldum's the one that I'm not sure about, because he still hasn't signed his contract.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah, but there's conflicting reports about that. This morning you read that he hasn't been offered an extension, and some people are saying he's been offered it. He hasn't signed it.
He got offered one last summer, so it's like they're saying he hasn't been offered one this summer. Well, he's still got an offer on the table from last summer. Why does he need another offer?
Maybe he's in a better bargaining position now.
But then
because
he's on holiday. Since the season's finished, he's been on holiday. So, when are we supposed to have offered him a new contract? You know what I mean? He's on holiday. Next week when he comes back will be when we'll find out what's happening with him properly.
Where does his contract stand at, Chris?
1 more year.
He's got 1 more year.
Don't you talk to the agent? You're not going to talk to Genie, the player, directly. You're going to talk to the agent.
He's on holiday. He still needs to say, if the agent.
Well, you heard of mobile phones.
But he's on holiday, mate. Some players don't want to be bothered. They're on holiday. They just want to go on holiday, and they'll say to their agent, "Don't bother me. I don't care. I don't want to know."
Genie, Liverpool
he's not
offered
interested in discussing anything right now while he's on holiday.
But Liverpool offered you 125,000 to stay last summer, but
that's not going to be done. It's only away for a week. Doesn't matter.
That is weird, man. I'd want to be. I want to be. If my agent was talking to the club and there was a breakthrough and they offered him more money, I'd want to know. That's just weird.
Well, why would there be a breakthrough? He's got good money and he's been offered good. He got offered good money. I mean, what's.
Yeah, but the landscape.
I've told you, I don't think he's interested in signing. If he is, he'll come back and sign. But I just don't see it. There's just the fact that he was the one that Klopp was willing to sell. I just don't think he feels as valued as some of the others. I think he realises that Keita and Ox are there to push him out of position. You know what I mean? Milner and Henderson interchange on one side, and then there's Jones coming through as well. I think he just thinks he's the odd man out at the moment.
Do you think Shaqiri will go, Chris?
Well, who's going to buy him is the problem. Wasn't it his hair transplant that caused his injuries?
Was it?
Yeah, I believe it caused balance problems, didn't it?
All right, so I didn't know that.
So that's why he's not been playing for half the season, like. So, he's going to come in but I'm not being funny, but like the money he's on and that, I just don't see that he's.
You're not shifting him.
Yeah, why would he? I mean, if you're him, where would you want to leave?
Tris, let's just go back. Sorry, before I forget my train of thought. Let's just go back to. See, I've forgotten it already. Let's go back to Genie. Yeah, exactly. When you said that Klopp was willing to let him go, when was that exactly?
Last summer. He was
And
the
Klopp
odd
was
man out,
willing
wasn't
to
he?
somebody offered 30
Was
million
it
or
last
something. I
summer or
can
the summer
vaguely
before?
recollect.
It might have been the summer
I think it was
before when
summer
we
before,
bought
yeah.
Oxlade Chamberlain and that, wasn't it? It was summer
Well,
before.
Freudian slip, Oxlade
Champion, yeah,
champion.
I know. But yeah, I mean, it was the year we brought in those, and he was the one that Klopp was willing to let go to make room for him. So it must have been the
Yeah, but
season before, wasn't it? Because it was the season we won the Champions League, not this season. Yeah, so it would have been the season before. Sorry, apologies.
yeah, but the politics, the geopolitics have changed. I mean, it's like he's now I don't know, started 35 games this season. I mean,
Yeah,
the whole geography, the whole landscape has
you've
changed.
got to remember he was the one that got dropped for the Barcelona game.
Right.
He was the one that
But
was
that
on
was
the
last
outside.
season.
Remember, we were short of players at the time as well, because some of them were banned and that. And he was still the one that had to come on as a substitute and, complete the victory. Like, you know what I mean? He wasn't first choice in there. And I think
But
that
that
makes him feel like he's not the one, he's not the go-to man. Even though he has become it this season. I still think he feels undervalued.
If he doesn't sign in 2 weeks, when he gets back on holiday, we've got to get rid. We cannot,
Yeah,
in
I
this
think
current climate, in this financial climate, it's a broken economy. We have to get rid of him because he would fetch a minimum 20-25 million.
He's 29 years old, you know. 1 year left on his contract.
Yeah.
You're going to struggle.
Maybe,
You might even struggle to get 25 right now. In a normal year, player that good, just won the Premier League and was one of the better midfielders. Yeah, 25 million wouldn't be a problem. But right now,
yeah, this pandemic's going to have a big effect on next year's, this year's transfer.
See, there's a player Everton should go for if they could convince him. Hey, if they could convince him, he'd change the midfield all round.
Why? I don't understand why you'd even say that. He wouldn't even entertain. I'm not being funny, but
I'm just saying that's the kind of player they need to be looking at. Is someone like they need a midfielder, and it's sad because he's good enough to get in the Liverpool midfield, but he obviously doesn't feel like he's the. He feels like he's undervalued because Klopp went to somebody. You can understand it. You've got to be honest. When you look at that Barcelona game, he was the one that was dropped. You can understand why that must be. You're thinking he was willing to sell me in the summer, and then when it mattered in the biggest game of the season, I was left out and had to come off the bench.
Or maybe he wants a Bosman.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think he's just decided that he's not valuable enough to Klopp to make it worthwhile signing a new contract. He may as well assess his options and go elsewhere. Whether that's at this season or next season.
We've got to get rid if he doesn't sign, because even getting 15 million is worth it. I mean,
I know most people don't think he'd go back to Holland for some reason. I don't know why you wouldn't. I don't know why people.
I'm one of those people.
I don't understand what the argument is again. Why would he not want to go back to Holland? Why do you say that?
Because I feel that most players go back to their childhood clubs or home countries when they've achieved all they can in their career, and they do it as a swan song. I'm not saying they do it for the money. It's just a swan song. And I feel at 29, he's got at least 2 or 3 really good seasons at the very, very top. And going to Feyenoord or anyway, the Eredivisie. Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest. I think
more likely he'll go to somewhere like Spain to try a different league. You know what I mean? Spain or Italy, I think he'll go. But I wouldn't be surprised if he went back to Feyenoord to become a club legend. He's, they're his team he supports. He's only a couple of months away from being 30, 3 months, sorry. It's November.
Well, do you know how long the extension is? Is it an extension or is it a new contract? It must be an extension, correct?
No, he's offered a new contract because he's not on the best. He's not like one of the higher earners at the club, so he was offered a better deal rather than
So it's
just
a 2-3
extending his
years.
contract. Yeah, it was. It would have. Oh, how much would it be? I'm sorry, I got to figure it out. It would have been 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. It would take him to 32, 33 ish.
See, personally, in this current climate, I would just get rid, because at 33, there's going to be no resale value. Get the 15, 20 million for him now and get somebody else in. I mean, this is how we've got to think.
I think the problem is that, like, of the replacement,
Love the guy, don't get me wrong. Love
Yeah.
the guy. He's been a tremendous servant.
you can't rely on who's at the club. I wouldn't say that I wouldn't feel happy losing him if we didn't replace him, because I wouldn't be happy with Naby Keita as the option. But then Grujic, if we could get a work permit, I'd be happy with him replacing Wijnaldum, to be fair. Him and Jones
like him?
and that. But I'm not confident. Not convinced Keita's ever going to make it with us. I really think he'll end up having to go.
Because
Because I just don't see any effort out of him. He's half it. He's another one. He's not putting in the full effort. He doesn't do enough pressing. He doesn't do enough tracking back. He doesn't work hard enough for my liking. He goes to sleep in games. You know what I mean? He's not there for 90 minutes. He'll be there for 10 minutes, and then he'll lose concentration for 5, and then he'll be back at it again and then he's, you know what I mean? He's just not a 90-minute player.
He's been a bit of a disappointment, I think. When you seen him at RBL, he was fantastic, wasn't he? And he just hasn't really hit the heights, has he? What we expected of him. Well, certainly what I expected of him.
Yeah, I've been very disappointed. He shows flashes, but that's not enough. Not for a player in a champions. If you're winning the championship. Not championship, you know what I mean? The Premier League championship. Well, you know what I mean by championship. I don't mean championship league. I mean
to win the championship. I'd really love them to win the championship.
Well, Everton might be in that next season. So don't worry, you might have a chance.
I think that. Go on, mate.
I was just going to say, he just needs to do more. He just disappoints me every time I watch him. He'll show flashes and so people will rave about him. But over the 90 minutes, that's all he does. I mean, those flashes that people rave about is all he's done. He's not tracked back hard enough. He's not done enough. You know what I mean? There's so many times players will just run off the back of him and he's not even noticed. It's so frustrating. And he's 25. He's not 22 or 23. He's 25. He should be coming to his peak years now.
The positives are he gets into some frigging good goal scoring opportunities as well. I mean, he's a bit deceptive and elusive. He has. I'd give him one more season and take stock then, and then pass judgment, because he's had injury problems. He's had issues off the field as well. I'd want to give him one more season.
I'd rather give Curtis Jones the minutes out of the two.
We'll see.
That's what I'd do personally. Or
Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Those two, I think, deserve the minutes far more than Keita.
The Ox has regressed for me. He's gone.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
But he's played up front.
Since his injury, he hasn't been the same player, has he?
It's the Roma semi-final.
But he's not had a run of games since then.
Well, he has. I mean,
he's in and out the team, and he's 1 minute he's at left wing, next he's at right wing, next he's in central midfield. I mean, it's impossible for them to get settled in.
Yeah, to get some kind of rhythm going.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of, the word rhythm.
You've never had that.
No, never. Definitely not.
I don't want to see you dance ever.
No, I'm terrible, mate. I got no balance. I've got a inner ear disorder. I fall over. I can fall over. This is the thing. I don't need to drink, and people often ask me, "Are you drunk?" Because I just fall over in the middle of the street. It's really embarrassing.
I just had a hair transplant.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, that's why I took notice of it when somebody mentioned about it happening to Shaqiri, having the balance problem. I thought, yeah, I know how you feel, mate. Because it can be very embarrassing. You just stood still in the middle of the... and you just find yourself falling over, and you've no idea why.
Guys, before I forget, we have to address the Thiago rumors because I mean it's all over the place constantly, all day, every day. That's all you see. So somebody take it away and enlighten us about the Thiago situation.
Do you want to step up there, Billy? This is your area, isn't it, Thiago?
No, not for me. If you don't get him.
From what I can gather, Klopp loves him. He loves Klopp. He desperately wants to play for Klopp, but obviously we need to sell to afford him. Really, I think it comes down. This is for me, it comes down to Wijnaldum. If he goes, we replace him with Thiago. If not, I think Klopp will think we don't need him.
We won't get him if Genie don't go for sure. You can't just bring a 29-year-old and give him 250 grand a week. I mean,
I'm not sure that he'd pay him that anyway. And I don't think he'd ask that from us because he said it himself. He's been very public about about leaving Bayern and that his first choice would be Liverpool.
See, I don't believe that there's been no contact. I believe maybe not with Bayern, but I'm sure there's been contact between agent and club, Liverpool and Thiago.
I'm sure there must have been, and I'm sure that if the money can be found, I'm sure Klopp will jump on him. The problem is the money's not there. The problem is the money's not there. I should think there's players like Grujic and that can be sold to raise capital, and I think that's what will probably decide what happens. And then PSG is still, would love to sign him. And PSG will have got an offer, I'll jump in if we don't. So he's not like he's going to be out on his uppers if he doesn't join his life.
What kind of player is he? Do you rate him?
Dude, you can't not rate him. He's a fantastic player. It's just he had a few injury problems. And that's the issue with him.
Injuries aren't as bad as all that, though. I mean, that people make out. He's had one bad injury in his life.
Yeah, but when you have one, that tends to mean that you're going to have more.
Yeah, but if you look at the facts, that it hasn't missed that many games. He's had one really bad injury, and then he's had niggles. He's played a lot of games during the seasons he's played.
Well, Klopp obviously thinks he's okay. Otherwise, he wouldn't be interested in signing him. So, I'm gonna assume they would have checked out what the issues were and would have looked into it. So,
so basically,
if they're stepping in,
it's basically a case of Genie goes, Thiago comes in.
That's how I see it. Yeah, and I can't see how else it can be. Obviously, I still think we'd have to sell a few words to raise the money.
Because he's got a pass. He's got some frigging passes on him, that Thiago. I tell you, he's not even he's got everything. He's got every pass in the book.
Well, they wanted him to. He was the one they earmarked as the replacement for Xavi, wasn't he? At Barcelona. Barcelona wanted him to be the long-term replacement for Xavi, but he didn't want to wait, so he went to Bayern because Pep jumped in. As soon as Pep went to Bayern, he's like he knew this kid was good, so I want he was the one he cherry picked from Barcelona.
Do you think Pep could go in for him if Liverpool didn't?
Pep would love him, yeah. I would see. That's the other thing. He's, like I said, he's not like he's going to be out of choices. If Liverpool don't sign him, he's got plenty of options. There's quite a few places he could go. So obviously the money's limiting him.
What's the likelibility of this transfer? Do you think?
It depends on so many moving parts at the moment, because of money.
Right.
So it's difficult to say. I personally think he'll end up somewhere else because I don't think we'll be able to get the money together in time, or we'll need to get the money together. But I think Ginny's going to go though, so I don't know. But we need to. We've got players like Harry Wilson and that need to go to clear the room in the squad.
Yes. Yeah. Now, talk to me about.
Can I just say, I've had enough of this back pattern all night. You've done really well, and I'm happy for you, but I'm going to bed now.
Well, it is. It is nearly 8 o'clock there, isn't it, Bill? So it must be your bedtime. You got your slippers on from the start.
It's got 11 o'clock. I haven't even got me. I'm
Oh.
sitting here in just my shorts because it's
for
roasting
God's
hot.
sake.
It's roasting hot and it's thunder and lightning.
There's an
I've got
image
a
that I
sunny
need
now.
to see. Turn the AC up, Bill.
I haven't got AC. We haven't got AC.
Ah.
We
I'll
only
turn
got
mine
about
up
5 minutes
extra
left
high.
anyway, mate. So we'll just finish off.
I'll turn mine
Yeah.
up extra high for you. You won't feel it.
Thanks for that, Chris.
Anytime, mate. Anytime.
Listen, boy, it's been a blast again. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks,
Good luck
Bill.
to Liverpool next year. Let's hope they don't win everything again.
We didn't win everything this year. We left Europe for you. It's not our fault
Yeah, no.
you didn't take advantage of it.
Billy, you didn't tell me there was a curfew at the old people's home. You said you could come and go as you please.
Lights out. That's what it was when she came in earlier. She said to him, "Hey, have you seen the time? You should be in bed." It wasn't, you know.
That's what it is. See. I'm a love
Your
machine.
Ovaltine's gone cold, Billy.
Yeah.
You have to warm it up in a microwave. That's something on the wall that you put food in and it gets warm.
Right, boys, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, pal.
I'll catch it online.
Take care.
All right,
Bill.
mate. Cheers.
Take
Bye.
care.
Hey, thanks, boys. Ta-ra.
So, Tristan, talk to me about Origi. Stay or go?
For me, I'd keep him if he wants to stay. I don't see why you'd want to get rid of him.
I see the reason I would think that we may cut our losses is simply to get some money for him. I think again he's another 25, 30 million pound player that we could use in other parts of the squad. Maybe bring Brewster back in to replace him.
Yeah, but I think Brewster needs to be playing.
Yeah, I said that Sunday as well, that I think he'd benefit more from another season away, and then come back the season after. But it's this COVID situation obviously has messed us up because the finances ain't there that there would have been, and now we're just we're a little bit. I don't know. I would probably raise some money for Origi if it was me.
I just think when a player scores the goals he does, it's not just like sometimes there's some things that are more important than number of goals. The goals he scores tend to come in big games. Big game players are vital if you're going to win trophies. They're rare as well because most players tend to bottle it when it comes to the big occasions. And he doesn't. He doesn't care. He's so laid back. It doesn't bother him. I just think.
Don't get me wrong. I like the guy, and he's done. He'll forever be in my memory, etched in my heart for the stuff he's done in the last 2 seasons. But I just feel if we can raise 30 million for him, or something around that figure, I think we should let him go because we need a centre back, and we need a wide forward, and I think. I think we're going to fall short of money this season. I think they're going to be. I really do believe that. I'm not sure they're going to bring. I think you agree we need a centre back, correct?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean,
I just think we're not going to get a wide forward in, so that's maybe Origi stays then, because I think that's what we need. I need a player to cover Salah, because when Salah goes, we drop off. The level of our performance just drops off. The incision, the incisiveness, the creativity just lacks. So we need somebody that can actually cover. Obviously, not going to be as good as Salah, but we need somebody to cover Mane, Salah, and Bobby. And I'm not sure that Origi's that guy, to be honest with you.
I just can't think who you buy though. I mean, even if you sell him, you're not going to have enough money. It's not going to pay enough to
Yeah.
bring in someone to cover Salah, is it? You know what I mean?
Now we really have to get creative this season. Now, do you believe we need to have a centre back?
If Gomez and Matip could stay fit,
Well, then they can't. So that's
well, Gomez, to be fair, I mean he's still only 23. Could be growing pains he's gone through and that, but we know Matip can't be relied on. So you're looking at Van der Beek, and if Phillips is good enough to step up, do you know what? Sometimes I'm undecided. I can't decide on that because I don't know whether I'd be happy. I want to see the kids get a chance, so I don't want to buy players to block them, but I'm just not sure if I'm convinced that either of those two are good enough to step up and be that cover. You know what I mean?
No, I don't think they are. I think we need a centre back. And what about the rumours about Mandy? Is that correct, or are we off the mark
They're
there?
rumours. They're correct. They're rumours, but I don't know of any. I don't know anything about him at all, so I can't talk about it.
No, me neither. I haven't watched a lot of Betis this season. And there's a Turkish guy. Is it that we were linked with, the Turkish defender, the centre back? Did you know anything about that?
I know I read something on the site, but that's all. I've not really been. I've honestly not been able to do much on the old transfer stuff because catch up with who's doing what and keep a track of it because I've been so busy with other stuff for the sites, so many articles people keep asking me to write. I just don't have time to keep on top of everything.
Absolutely. All right, mate. Well, I think that we're done. Is there anything you want to add? It's been a great season for us, obviously. Hopefully, in your mind, we've had a successful season.
Yeah, we've
and
had a
exceeded
successful
targets.
season, and if Man City win the Champions League, they'll have had a successful season. But apart from that, I'm not. And Wolves and Sheffield United, teams like that, will have had a successful season. But I just don't see how some of the, you were saying about Arsenal finishing eighth. I just don't see it. I'm sorry. I don't see it as success. It's just an average season. Winning the FA Cup, well, you're playing against youth teams most of the way through it. It's.
Let's agree to disagree on that one and take up that.
I think it's a shame because I'd love to win I love the FA Cup and it should be important, but it's not anymore, unfortunately.
Absolutely, pal. Well, listen, I agree with you on that. It isn't the cup that it was when we were growing up. It hasn't got the allure or the kudos attached to it or the gravitas. So I give you that one, pal. But let's looking forward to next season's pods. So
yeah, I was just trying to think. Has anything happened in the other the teams we covered last week? Has anything happened over the last few days? Since we did the first one, has anything happened with any of them? Did the Newcastle takeover fall through before or after we did?
That's right. Yeah, the Newcastle that fell through. Yeah, like you predicted.
Yeah, that was from the start. I mean, that was obvious it wasn't going to go through. To be honest,
I don't know how obvious it was, but it did fall through. But you did call it, mate.
Yeah, I mean, so that was that in between. Because if so, we should really probably mention that, shouldn't we? Talk about it.
I got to go, mate. I got a Tyler coming around to do.
All right, then, mate. Yeah. We'll call that the end then.
All right, pal. Appreciate it.
Let's see you next whatever day it
Tuesday.
is. Tuesday. Yeah. I don't know what day it is.
You're gonna have to pause it from.
Well, we'll just call it there, mate. Speak to you soon. See you next Tuesday.
Pal. Okay. Right. See you next Tuesday. Bye.
Test recording. So if you could speak for me.
Yeah. Everton look like they're going to win the league next year.
Now I need to save that.